be an indie means we buck a system that doesn't want us. To be a fringe filmmaker means we don't do it for them. We do it for ourselves. To be an outlaw on the fringe means we'll die before we fail. Be an outlaw. Joe's fault. Joe's fault. Joe's fault. Joe's fault. Joe's fault. Joe's.
All right, that's what I try. That's what I get for trying to mess with new technology and everything. And
on the day of a show, right? Like I had, like there's certain things. There's certain things I won't do on show days. Like we have a new light fixture to install in this room.
And so I got these new wireless earbuds, and so yeah, unfortunately, it confused the computer or something. And, you know, of course, just like George, I will not mess with new lights when...
New things scare Joe. Technology scares Joe.
It does, absolutely. You are correct. No problem admitting that.
How are you, my friend? How was your week?
Well, you know, now that my shirt's sweat soaked, I'm fine. You know, when certain things like that happens, it's just like, oh shit, all eyes are going to be on me going.
I feel bad because, you know, I like to be the one who actually causes you heart attacks throughout the week. And like when something outside of my control causes you severe stress, it makes me feel kind of bad for you.
Well, I thank you.
Yeah.
Is that the fastest blame Joe to date? Yeah, probably. Messing with lights equals bad juju. Oh, man. Yeah, that was...
So the audio issues are fixed. Everything seems to be good and golden and beautiful. And I think I'm trying to mess with my audio levels here. I think I might be coming in a little hot. Coming in hot.
So while you're working on that, everyone in the audience, thank you again for joining us on another episode of Romero Pictures Heavy Metal Indie Brigade with your host, George C. Romero, and his producer extraordinaire, me. And while we're on the subject...
You know, it sounds way less arrogant when I say it about you.
Damn it.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Romero Pictures Heavy Metal Indie Brigade with me, your host, George C. Romero. And with me, as always, is my ever-present and faithful producer extraordinaire, Mr. Joe Ridgely. See how easy I make that seem?
All right. Well, then do me a favor. Make that easy.
StreamYard. Actually, StreamYard is the platform we use. A lot of people have asked us since we started, hey, who do you guys use? What do you use? What do you use? What do you use? Well, here you go. The answer is StreamYard. We use it because it's awesome. We're super stoked to be in an official partnership with StreamYard now. So in addition to the Aston microphones, which we'll touch on in a second, we've now got a partnership with StreamYard, and we're very proud of that. We use StreamYard for all of our live streaming needs here on Romero Pictures Heavy Metal Indie Brigade.
Network.
With me, your host, George C. Romero. Network. What? See, when you throw words at me in the middle of a thing, it fucks me all up. This is all weird. I got a new desk. I'm not like, it's like a new suit.
You don't look comfortable.
It feels a little weird. I miss my old desk was like a door, like an unfinished door from Home Depot on two sawhorses, and it was super primitive, but it was massive. And now I feel like I'm like in fucking trouble or something. I don't know. We got a lot of people tuning in, it looks like. Let me switch over to those comments now that it seems we've got the microphone issue solved. Speaking of microphones, this is the Aston microphone stealth mic that I'm rocking and that Joe is rocking. If you guys aren't familiar with Aston microphones, you need to get learned because these guys, they're an outlaw microphone company. The CEO of the company did some phenomenal things that I have nothing but loads of respect for. They're out of the UK. He worked for some pretty big companies until he decided to say, fuck it, go the outlaw route. And I think about 4 years ago, he started Aston microphones. And now that's another tech partner of ours here at Romero Pictures, Heavy Metal Indie Brigade. These microphones are phenomenal. They're not as pricey as people think, couple $100, few $100, I think, for a microphone of this quality that I think was voted the best mic of 2020, actually, or maybe it was 2019. But anyway, this is one of their newest ones, and it's next level amazing. So super easy, super beautiful, super clean, rich sound, and I highly recommend you get one. Let's see.
They're
Who
so
else
good,
here?
it even makes me sound good.
Okay.
Uh-huh. All right.
See, it's all in the timing. Gunny, what's up, brother? Gunny had a rough couple days out there on the oil field, had some dangerous shit happen, so much love to you, Gunny. Hope everything is fine and you're good. Tim, what's up? David Madison, ho, 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 with the fucking Christmas shit. It's November, man.
I can't even catch up to where you are right now, so.
I'm at the fourth one.
Oh.
Among other things, Joe is a very slow reader. Oh, Scott Williamson, what's up? What's up, Butcher? Oh man, Terry, Drone Jesus, huzzah. Lacey, how's it going? Brandon, what's up? Brandon, I will get that email out to you here very soon, probably next week, I think.
So touch on Brandon for 1 second, man. He's back out in the field doing movies again.
Yeah, I know.
That's freaking awesome.
I know. He's a bad motherfucker, and that just goes to show, or as I like to say, that just shows to go you. I mean, like the indie world, right? We've got the big mainstream industry trying to spinning their wheels, trying to figure out how they're going to get their movable beast off the starting block again. And we got indie filmmakers out there making content. So, that said, that's what the Indie Brigade is here for. We're here to help you figure out not only how to get spun up, how to start making content when nobody else is making content, but how to up the quality of that content, how to improve your production value, how to improve the way you think about the business of your own business when it comes to the art you're making. And Brandon is one of our favorites here, so congratulations, Brandon. I'm happy to see you out there killing it. Jennifer, what's up? Dave Sheridan, what's up? Daniela, how you doing? Lauren, what's up, brother? That is, in fact, the fastest Blame Joe to date. It would have been faster, but he was 3 minutes late starting the stream. Bam! Oh, there's my beautiful wife.
I'm sorry,
Rebecca.
what? I'm sorry, what? Say that again.
Hey, that wasn't
I can't
my fault.
hear you.
That was your fault.
The notorious Apple Night.
I'm sorry, Rebecca. I was trying to give you a shout out because you're my beautiful wife who I love, but Joe decided to interrupt me. Man, I missed you, Joe.
I can tell.
Well, I didn't have a show last week either, so I mean, for again, shit beyond my control. So I'm happy to be back. I missed everybody. JD, what's up? Who else is here? Ken, what's going on, brother? Sam, how you doing, brother? Wheels, I hope you got your mug, man. The hoodie is going to look good on you. I haven't seen, if you all haven't noticed, I haven't seen a lot of shit on Facebook lately. None of anybody's stuff is showing up in my feed. When I go to try to tag people, I have to manually search them. Like my list of people doesn't show up. I don't know who the fuck I pissed off, but apparently it was somebody besides you. So there you go. Lance, what's up? Bluegrass. Oh yeah, I will talk about Bluegrass for anybody who doesn't know, for anybody who hasn't heard it, and for anybody who doesn't see my posts, because from what I'm told, a lot of folks aren't even seeing my stuff. Wonderwork is an amazing project from heavy metal. It's like modern day radio dramas, and they're just so fucking cool. And we actually launched the very first piece of Rise-related Deadverse content called Bluegrass as a Wonderwork episode. I think it came out Tuesday. And if you haven't seen it, haven't heard it, haven't found the link, we will make the link available somewhere, somehow, someday. But in the meantime, you should just be able to Google, I think, heavy metal, wonderwork, bluegrass, and find it. I think it's on Apple Podcasts, I think, is the best place to find it. And it was really an amazing experience writing that, being part of watching it come together, and, of course, working with Kyle, who everybody remembers has been on the Brigade. He's a member of the Brigade. He's a phenomenal musician, super talented musician, and even more talented sound designer, engineer, recordist. And anyway, so he's been doing all of the audio engineering for the Wonderwork episodes. And the Bluegrass episode, man, I'm telling you, it, when I wrote it, I heard it in my head, but to hear Bluegrass read by our very own Richard Grieco, who did the title role, and just nailed it. And then I got it, I now get to say that Richard Grieco and I are in something together because I do one of the voices too. So I finally got to actually kind of act with my brother. So that was a lot of fun. So check it out, Bluegrass. It's amazing. It's one of those things I'm just so proud to have seen come to life. Libby, what's up? Let's see. Quit telling Lance Wagner. Man, now I'm behind. Yeah, Bluegrass is awesome, everybody. Check it out. Also, this is I just got this from the artist. This is officially the last page of the second issue of Cold Dead War. So I'm just gonna show you guys that. It's just, look at that. I mean,
just wait for me to have control of your camera.
My God, that is. You guys seeing this? How fucking cool that is! Wow. I'm just gonna leave it right here.
So
my name tag covers it. So that came from Mr. Sean Smithson. Everybody here knows Sean Smithson. Sean is one of the most stand-up guys I know. Phenomenally talented creator, maker, woodworker, and recently laser etcher, MC
laser
etcher
guru.
He does like this amazing shit with this fucking laser thing that he has. And so he sent me 10 of these, and check this out. I have it right here. This is my Veterans Compound. I don't know if it's all focused or if it's, there you go.
Yeah, it's coming in.
There you go. Wait. Veterans Compound, Zippos. I have 10 of these, and these are going to be the sort of special thank you for donors of a certain level for the Veterans Compound. They're going to be like little founders things. In fact, you can see mine right here, says founder on it. So that's super cool. That makes that a one of a kind. And I'm really, really stoked about that. And then we've got these right here. Oh, that one's mine. Then I've got 10 of these. And like here, for instance, is what number is this? Number 2, right?
Yeah, it looks like it.
So yeah, so number 2. I don't know what, there it is. I wish the camera would focus. You guys could get a good look at how crisp and clean that is. But again, Veterans Compound number 2, and there's 10 of these, 1 through 10, and they are for folks who donate at a certain level to become founding donors, with the exception of number 1, which goes to our very own Gunny, because as I tell everybody, I probably wouldn't have had the clarity of thought to kind of try to organize the Veterans Compound if Gunny and I hadn't spent several hours talking one day in Midland, Texas. So that was one of those conversations that he and I hit it off. It was one of those things that just kind of like sticks with you forever. And so I owe him a huge thank you for the Veterans Compound. There he is right there in his Scare Tactical shirt. Available at romeropictures.com/merch. And a portion of all of basically all the profits on the Scare Tactical stuff on our website goes directly into the Veterans Compound. So go check it out, get you some Scare Tactical stuff, and help us help vets. Love you too, Gunny. So Gunny gets number 1. Number 2 is also spoken for, goes to the very special donor, who has not yet given me clearance to announce his name, but he gets the number 2 lighter, and he is the gentleman who donated money after DEF CON 1. You remember DEF CON 1, the very first online-only fan convention that was pulled off right here at Romero Pictures Indie Brigade, when we kicked off with heavy metal and the whole thing. Well, yeah, back March 28th and 29th. I think that was several weeks before anybody else ever did one. Anyway, we ended up raising enough money to do all the corporate filings and all the other lawyer stuff and all the IRS stuff to get the Veterans Compound formalized as a company, as a corporation, and to pursue our 501c3, which anybody who's been paying attention knows just came in the mail not long ago, and there it is. So
I've got a question in the background in a private chat, and I'll actually see if I can pull it up here. This is from Mr. Michael Mandaville. That'll be on momentarily. He says,
yes, absolutely. I mean, we need to kind of like figure all that out right now. What I'm going through with my lawyers, Michael, and we could talk about this more when you guys come up, because this is actually may even tie into kind of what we're going to talk about tonight a little bit. But I just got to figure out how that all works. Because we're not really we're a film thing, so I'm not really sure how that would work. But I'm sure that we can figure it out, and I would love that. So we will figure it out. So let's see. Comments. There it is. Oh, you pasted his comment over here. So anyway, I guess I should say thank you, everybody, for sticking with us. Thank you, everybody, for being here with us. Thank you, everybody, for being members of the Indie Brigade and believing in what we're trying to do. We've had this amazing journey of growth since just over a year ago when we started this thing. We've kind of hit some issues with this whole Facebook. I don't know what the fuck they're doing or what's going on, but we've hit some issues there. We have decided to kind of try to combat that by going to Twitch. We've got a Discord server now. So make sure you make the jump with us. Make sure you get involved over on Twitch. Make sure you get involved on our Discord server. We'll make the link available to the Discord server again soon. We put it up every few days, maybe every week. It is invite only, so it's not something you can just go search and join, as far as I know. But it's very cool. We're working on moving the conversation. We're working on reformatting. And we're working on basically giving the Indie Brigade to the Indie Brigade and making it a community that is itself a very valuable tool for people who want to use it as such. And the more we grow, guys, the more powerful a tool that becomes, and the better it becomes for everybody who's involved and who wants to be involved. So, do me a favor, if you can, if you like what you see here, if you like spending time with us, if you've learned anything, if you've had fun, if you hate Joe, just go ahead and share our stuff. Share. Don't just like, don't just react, don't just like smiley face or heart. Share our stuff. Help us get the word out. Like, share it in places where you can really help us. I mean, everything we're doing here, guys, I feel like we're getting to a point where I'm going to have to kind of like do a mind map or something on the screen and kind of lay out how, connect the red string like I'm tracking a serial killer and kind of lay out how everything is working here. But guys, I mean, there will come a time here very soon when I think it'll become a lot more clear exactly what all of the pieces of everything that we're all working on, how they come together, and the big picture that they're going to make. And believe me, there is a big picture. And it's very fucking cool. So, but one of the things that we need is we need to get the word out. We need more people to join the brigade. We need more people to hear about the brigade. We want to continue the rocket ship of growth. And we want to continue becoming and working to become something better than anybody else has ever tried to do when it comes to working with and helping not only filmmakers, but now with the Veterans Compound veterans, and helping everybody kind of up their game and just being able to enjoy their creative life and make some fucking money doing it, right? Like survive doing it. You know, don't you all want to fucking quit your jobs? Like, you know, like I think that's the goal, right? Like none of us really want to have to, like once we do this, once we realize we're creatives, this is what we want to spend our lives doing. So, you know, and that's a struggle in itself. So, you know, what we try to do here at the Brigade is give you, you know, a little bit of strength, but mostly just the knowledge that A, you're not alone, and B, there's a community of people who actually care about you and your projects and care to help. And that's what the Brigade has become. It truly has become a community of people who seem to care about each other and collaborate and stuff. So if you're here, if you like being here, bring other people here. Help us.
Just like Lance did. Hey, Richard is in the house.
What's up, buddy?
Director Richard Stringham. Close
What's
Calls,
up?
I believe.
What's going on, brother? Happy you're here, man.
Good movie. You guys check it out. Gunny's got to take off. Thank you for joining us, Gunny. Always appreciated.
Love you, Gunny. Let's see. Steve Hansen, great people. Rocket ship, hashtag rocket ship growth. Sounds like a medicine you see advertised late at night.
Wrong rocket.
Close Calls is awesome.
Yes.
The Brigade family, Drone Jesus right there. Nobody's going to wash your feet though, Terry. Or that's the other way around. Never mind. Line up. Drone Jesus is going to wash everybody's feet. Bible thing. Bible reference. That I got wrong. What's that tell you?
So, we've got some people in the green room. You ready?
Yes, excellent. I'm just pouring myself some more coffee here.
Oh, we'll wait on you.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate that. I just have to screw the lid back on.
Oh,
All right,
man.
hit me.
All right, first up, we have Mr. Michael Mandaville.
Hey, Michael.
Hey, how you guys doing there?
Awesome, and he didn't throw us off. He has a hat on tonight.
I do. I thought, look, I'm gonna go the Joe route here. You know, I want to be with the cool set. You know, the persecuted set. You know, the.
You got to get the Indie Brigade hat.
Oh, I do need one of those. I think I
How
got.
you doing?
I'm doing good. I think I got the USS. Does it say the USS Iowa?
I can't see it.
Oh, I don't think it's this one.
You're a little washed out.
No, it's not this one. I usually have the USS Iowa.
Looks more like Ralph Lauren.
Yeah, I think it's my St. Johnny's hat. You know, you start picking up shit and you go, that's not mine. How'd I get that? You know, when you get kids and they're a bit older, you know. And sometimes you could steal some really cool camera shit.
What are you talking about? This Panavision is mine. I
Oh,
brought
I'm
it this
sure.
morning.
I'm sure. Come on. Give me that gimbal, you know, here. I don't know where you lost it, son.
Hey, Michael, I'm just going to take this bank of walkies after this production's over. You don't care, do you?
Yeah, $2,000 a walkie, not a problem, right? I had to do an insurance case. God, I'm trying to remember what movie it was, but I mean, it was like 17 walkies lost.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like $2,000 a piece.
Oh, yeah.
You know, when you actually get through the end of the day, you know, with 18 something a piece and, you know, the insurance claim. I mean, so we had to go back and trace and find them and have people go back to like Galpin Ford and look under the trucks, under the seats. And I mean, in the back of the trailers. And we found like 11 or something. So we still had to pay about 8 out. It was like, I think people on that show wanted to hit each other with them. I mean, that's what I think was going on. It was like a very frustrating movie, you know. It was happy.
I worked on some bigger budget films back in the 90s that had those the big Motorola's, right? You're talking
Oh,
about.
yeah.
Yeah. And man, when it was over, Like, it was crazy. They were barging golf carts over to this island, and every week they would barge more golf carts over, and the producers were flipping out because the golf carts, they would instantly, the governors would come off, and they would burn them and run them until they started smoking and caught on fire, and they'd drive them into the water, into the harbor. So, I mean, when that movie was over, I mean, just watching people, I just watched people stuff walkies into backpacks. And I mean, I watched people go in and take printers and shit. It was like back.
You know, the most, I work with this guy named Jack Boyer, and he was an AD. He did the original Little Shop of Horrors with Roger Corman, right? And they shot the whole movie in 2 days, right? And he had so many stories about that and all these other low-budget films and stuff. But a good friend of his was a guy who was an assistant director, and his name was Blue Andre. That was his name, but he was on Cleopatra with like Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton, right? Mm-hmm. And that was like one of the first movies that they had like Army walkie-talkies, U.S. Army surplus communications gear. And in one of the scenes, now the guy was drinking. By noon, he was sloshed, but he could still do his job. But he was hammered. He could only sit in the chair, right? He couldn't actually get out of the chair. So he was ADing entirely from the chair, this walkie. But you got to remember the scene. He had something like, I think the guy told me 250 assistant directors because they had the crowds. They were actual human beings in these crowds. And so you had all these people, but you'd have the walkies turned on, no headsets, and he'd be really drunk going, "Hey, move that son of a bitch over there." And, you had a lot of people coming out, that were, like locals not used to this kind of verbiage, shall we say? Going to thousands of people. That was the best walkie story I ever heard.
Well, how's your week been, Michael? We spoke briefly.
It's good. It's good. Just getting a lot of things done and getting ready. I got some stuff I'm going to take into Netflix, and I'm getting the show ready to bring to you guys. Where we got to figure it out with Joe about putting it up on Twitch. I did my first interview with one of the actresses, and then I'm going to do a little part behind it for talk about production and the 10 episodes of the web series I did, which is I'm going to take that also and see where we can go with that. But so I did get a few boxes checked off here, on the old productivity route. And so AFM was good. And we got our marketing seminar ready. And I want to talk to you about...
You did the AFM already? AFM's over?
Yeah, it was last week. I didn't
even pay attention to it this year.
It's kind of weird because it's all virtual. And I did the seminar, and scheduling and budgeting went well, really well. I had about 250 people contact me afterwards. And but then you go to these little rooms and you're supposed to go and network. And it's like I'm at the wrong table. They had to tell me to go to this virtual table, not that one. And I'm like, hey, can you send me to the virtual bar or the virtual hemp room? I'm ready to start to
That's
get
the worst part. That's the worst part about taking something like AFM digital to me. I mean, as somebody who went to AFM for a decade, damn near, actually maybe longer.
Yeah, I bet you want
to. Like you never used to even have to buy a thing. You just would go to the bar.
Yeah, just wander on in.
Yeah, you'd go to Lowe's Hotel in Santa Monica, and you just go to the bar and sit down and get a table, and start drinking.
Yeah.
And, and then you do a lot of good business. It was kind of like doing business at the bar at AFM was kind of like playing pool with your buddies when you're drinking. Like you have a couple of drinks and it starts going really well. And then you have that one drink too many and then you start missing shots.
And then you realize you bet a lot of money.
And then you read the private chat right now and you laugh even more.
Oh, those are my friends. I'll tell you. that good
Wow.
old needling from my good friends, you know.
Yeah, it seems like you and Robert have a similar relationship to me and Joe.
Pretty much, you know. I mean, we could pick on each other a bit, and give each other a load of crap, and then you're like, and we actually know somebody that guys do that. Except there's this guy we both know that goes, if you did that to him, he like gets really upset, and I'm like, dude, I got to check your guy card here. What's going on? I mean, guys do this. What? I don't understand how you're upset about this. When
So
you're
wait a minute,
Hey,
Michael.
go fuck yourself.
yeah,
Wait
go
a minute.
fuck yourself.
So wait a minute, Michael. You go and drink yourself to sleep and cry in your pillowcase?
That's so mean. I go sit on the roof and clean my rifle and try and do distance checks. What are you talking about? I'm
Basically,
checking for windage.
if Joe doesn't go to bed lonely, drinking and crying, then I feel I didn't do enough that day.
Hey, seriously. He bases a show on how many times I raise this glass to my lips.
That's a
So
lot
far
of
we're-
gin to drink too.
Man, so thank you, JJ. So remind me not to make Michael mad when I drink with him.
Especially since we now know he can kick some major ass.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have Robert on, and Robert and I met at a martial arts dojo, and for like 25 years ago, and he's very, very dangerous fellow. He was in the U.S. Army, and he was on the DMZ in South Korea, and he also at the Taekwondo Federation, I believe, where they invite everybody from around the world. They invite all the people to come, and like, I think he was the only white dude.
Well,
Literally,
let's bring him up so you can brag on him.
I know the entire place, and so he has this spinning back kick that you go, "Oh wow, you're rusty. Fuck you." I mean, it's one of those like.
Robert, give me a thumbs up if you're ready, buddy.
Joe has a spinning back kick.
No, that's a drunken backflip.
That's the fall backward.
Yes.
Trying to kick.
Hey guys,
That's the part that's accompanied by the crying. Hey, Robert, how you doing, man?
And
doing
begging,
great.
And begging. The requisite
Thanks for-
amount of begging.
Thanks for joining us again. We were, as rarely happens with Michael, we went off on a tangent. So, Michael was starting to talk about a seminar that was put together for AFM, and then he said, speaking of the seminar, and he was going to gracefully transition into talking about you and talking about what we're here to talk about tonight, and then we spiraled. So apologies.
We need to have like some little electrical thing attached to our, brains that like, Joe could be hitting the switch there. Just get back on track, guys. Get back on track.
We spiraled like Joe's drunken backflip or spinning back.
Wow. Okay, but eventually we're gonna get Michael's drunken master thing going on. So
Oh, that's right. The drunk monkey techniques.
All right.
Oh
boy.
man, Robert, how you been the last couple of weeks, man?
Great, but a little hectic. We're actually packing the house, so that's why actually the only place I have that I could sit is actually on my bed.
Oh,
So-
hey.
We're gonna move out of the LA area now, and so it's been busy. It's been good, but yeah, a little hectic. But
Are you
life
staying
is
in
beautiful.
California? Are you staying in
No.
California?
No,
No?
we're going to run our asses away from California taxes and communism, etc.
Where are you? Do you mind? You don't have to go. But like, what part of the country are you headed to?
We are going to. This is actually kind of interesting. I don't mind sharing it. We're buying an RV right now, and we're going to spend about 6 months going across country and settle probably in Florida or Georgia.
Awesome.
Yeah, mom's out there, and she's a soulmate. She's one of the few that actually talks to her son about how to perform better in bed to make his wife happy. I mean, You can imagine. My mom tells me that stuff. Maybe there's place for improvement. I don't know, but anyway,
well,
we want to be closer to her.
You've just brought the entire indie brigade into bed with you, so
I'm in bed. Yeah.
Page one of the Kama Sutra.
This seminar is actually going to be on romantic insurance, not marketing.
Well, tonight's show is really going to be mostly about the two of you guys. I would like to just kind of kick it off, and I'm looking at this as much as much of a learning experience as a lot of people who are going to be watching us tonight. So I'm just excited to kind of hear what you guys have going on. We're going to talk about marketing. Let's see. Oh, Ryan, what's up, brother? That's my brother, Ryan Courtney.
Oh, there we go.
Thank you for tuning in. So I'd like to get into it. We've got one more person that I'd like to have pop on, say hello, and hang out for a little bit, as long as he's willing and able.
Mr. Grieco, are you ready, sir? Boom.
Hey,
boom, the gang's all here.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
How you doing, man?
Joe said I was sideways.
Well, you were. I'm glad you came back the proper way.
That could have been just Joe in the middle of his drunken backflip falling over.
That's right.
Maybe.
Again.
How's everybody doing?
Good. How about yourself?
Good.
Yeah. You're well lit tonight. There's no candle.
I didn't do the candle tonight, but I did kind of like a half key light above my head.
Yeah, I was gonna say a hard key and
just kind of a hard edge. Just give me a hard edge.
That works.
It's nice.
It works.
I like it. We need some smoke though. We need to thicken the atmosphere a little bit.
A smoke machine would be great.
Yeah.
I got one right here. I do.
Different kind of smoke machine, Michael.
Oh, sorry. Never mind.
Where's Grieco's pooch? There's one of them. This is Booker. One of them. That's Booker.
Awesome.
Hey, hang on. I got to get Vader. Oh, come here, Vader. Vader, come here. And here's Vader. Vader's hot.
I like that mask. Oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, bluegrass.
Yeah.
I love the side of Richard that we get here at the brigade. It's a side that I think most people don't know. And I think that's another thing to kind of touch on when it comes to kind of the marketing and everything we're going to be talking about tonight. Everybody has an image of Richard in their mind, and have for a while, from some of the iconic characters that he's played. But, through the Indie Brigade, he has opened up a whole different side of his own creativity and his own personality to the world. And, I think that's an amazing thing he's done. Now, he's very open about, he's always been open about his painting, but now, we're working on putting out another album. There's a lot of writing. There's a lot of other things going on, and he's about to bring a show to the Indie Brigade as well. And, and I think that this all kind of somehow transitions into the fact that we're all here to talk about marketing tonight. But mostly tonight is really Michael and Robert, because that's what these guys do, and they're geniuses at it. So, but to just kind of like finish up the bluegrass thing, Richard, you weren't here earlier, but I was talking about the bluegrass thing that you did, and how amazing the piece is, but how amazing you are as the title character, and how awesome it is that basically you and I have now acted in something together.
Yeah.
So
that's
kind of like, that's a bucket list moment for me right there. So thank you for doing that, and I love you.
I had a lot of fun with him.
Yeah. And man, you just gave that character a whole level of depth that I didn't even think of when I was writing it. So
I didn't either until I started doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I get that. So,
Well,
so marketing. Oh, go
Yeah.
ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I picking up with what I learned about Richard, which actually I didn't know about. I knew about your music, but I didn't know the depth of your music, and I didn't know you really painted. And that's what it's interesting to see the cross pollination of thought that kept me thinking about your song. That I go opera. I mean, I just really come back to that, dude, where
Yeah.
you have these parts, and it would be like this. I don't know, just this amazing intertwining of art. And I think the part of the marketing world is very interesting, because when I started to come up with this line, Creative Explorer, which made a lot of sense working with a life coach, actually is how I came up with it. But when you have this, the number one thing is authenticity and engagement and consistency. And when people actually get a handle on that authenticity, which is Hollywood is really to a great extent, the paradigm of the star making machine. And online media, when I go to VidCon, is and still has qualities of the fictional narrative built in, but a lot of it is really built around authenticity. And for that, we get just this amazing human connection. Like Indie Brigades is real. People get into that and they understand it. And it's kind of bizarre, but in a world with so much social media, we are still hungering for authenticity, and sometimes not finding it 80% of the time on social media or whatever the number is. And Robert and I've had some good talks about how do you do this. And what's interesting is Cameron in the Indie Brigades experienced quite a change in the Facebook algorithm, which is also goes to show you have to stay within current practices. What's happening now, and we actually kind of call it creating your own marketing ecosystem. What's the ecosystem? And if you can give words to things, you get greater definition and understanding. Whatever you name a color, that the great painters created colors and they named them azure and et cetera, et cetera. And the same thing with film technology or film techniques. So we kind of call it the marketing ecosystem in one thing. And I have slides whenever you want me to share something or not. I could pick through.
No. What I'd like to do is just kind of, I want to let you finish your thought, but then kind of like have you guys kind of intro where the slides and that whole thing. So,
Well, in that sense, a lot of it has to do with being, as the saying goes, and I think it's true, 80% is in your psychology of wanting to market. 20% is really the mechanics. And I think that in that psychology, which is emphasized, is I couldn't get my arms around it in a lot of ways until I was actually reading Gandhi, actually, believe it or not, and things about Martin Luther King and et cetera. And what really hit off in my head was Gandhi said the greatest thing is to be of service to somebody. And I actually kept thinking about that, and I'm going, there's people that want to make films. And then you and I kind of reconnected, about 4 or 5 months ago, whatever it was, 6 months ago. And then I said, hey, I'd like to help this Indie Brigade thing. I mean, it actually gave me that thought. And then I was reading Gandhi and go, that's what it was that made me want to, just hang with Cameron was the initial sensibility. Oh, I could talk this guy. We'll be talking about coconuts on Mars in 20 minutes. This will be fucking cool, but because we go off the deep end. But
yeah,
it's an interesting.
But at least we're not at Guido's. At least we're not at Guido's with a bottle of wine.
That's right. But it's one of those things where marketing also means you want to be of service, to have people show your art, to show like Richard's art and the music, and because you're actually trying to give somebody insight. And that's the best angle to come from, because it's the angle, the direction, I should say, that allows you to continue on your mission. So that's when you have an ecosystem that really is going to give you longevity and purpose and drive. So that's kind of the starting point, Robert and I kind of, when we talk to people about it, you have to find it, whatever it is.
Longevity, purpose, and drive.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And
That's
then
interesting.
you'll really kind of pursue it as a mission, and where you don't take no for an answer, and when you're going to be accomplishing this mission, and if it's a mission, it's not work.
That's
It's
right.
right, but you'll do the work, but it's not work. So
That's right.
you got to explore that with yourself. That's what I think is important. That's what I saw at VidCon, which completely is different than going to the AFM or the PGA or the DGA film seminars. VidCon was people that wanted to be there really, I mean, intensely without money, because they had something to say. Huge,
Yeah.
huge levels of enthusiasm. You could feel it in the air. It was different.
Well, you just described the entire independent filmmaking world. I mean, no, I never met an indie filmmaker that did anything because they thought it was a fast track to, buying a Tesla.
Yeah.
We do things without money because we've got something to say.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
and that's kind of like that's one of the core pillars of the Indie Brigade is that we all do this because we've got something to say. And it's interesting because what I think a lot of young folks and a lot of new filmmakers and a lot of indie filmmakers might not realize is that guys like us, we all have a lot to say about our experience. We're all happy to share our experience, and we're all happy to help whoever we can with those kind of I don't want to use the term yarns, but I mean, oftentimes a lot of knowledge from guys who have been doing this as long as we have comes from stories we tell.
Oh yeah.
And if you can kind of glean information from just that kind of stuff, that's how a lot of us learned coming up. I mean, just even because we were able to gain some access, it was what you did with that access, right? It's kind of like you said earlier, it's 80-20. Like my granddad used to say, it's 90% of it's 10% of what you say, 90% of how you say it.
There you go.
And
Yeah.
and that was the same kind of thing. Like it doesn't matter how you get through a door. Once you're through that door, it's up to you to stay in the room. And that's kind of like what we're trying to give everybody the tools here to do. And we try to do it in a very comfortable and conversational, casual kind of way that makes everybody feel like we're just hanging out, because this is something that that people don't realize about this industry. It wasn't that long ago. It was like the 90s. I mean, even the early 2000s, it was just people hanging out and doing shit. And you'd hang out and be like, hey, man, I had fun hanging out. You want to do something together? Yeah, okay, let's do it. It wasn't so like fucking intense
Regimented.
and stressful. Yeah, and just like, oh my God, I've got to fucking get the next best Instagram viral thing, blah, 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 blah. It was like, hey, man, I had fun. Let's make a fucking something together. Yeah, cool. Let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's true.
So listen, so why don't you guys kind of give everybody watching a little bit of an overview, because I know you actually prepared a slide presentation, which is actually a first here on the Indie Brigade. So I'm super stoked about that. We've actually got like slides and visual aids and things to back up the chat and maybe keep us on track. And so why don't you guys...
bad chance of that.
Every third slide is every third slide's just a Rorschach.
That's right. It's like, I think that's a palm tree. Okay. Yeah, I see this shit coming, man.
All right, so why don't you guys, because I know you guys have put a lot of thought into kind of what you want to talk about tonight. Why don't you kind of just intro it and let's kick off.
Well, Robert, do you want to say anything there before I guess I could screen share, and then, we actually cut down the slides. I mean, on my AFM, when I had 132 slides for an hour, and I go, oh, that's going to kill everybody. They'll get like ADD in about 6 seconds, so I had to cut it down to like about 40. But this, I think we had about 17 or something like that. A couple we could skip through quickly that are obvious. But Robert, do you want to say any more? Should I kind of...
I just want to say, go fuck yourself and get going.
So there's the starting gun. All right.
I like.
Do you want me to? Welcome to the Indie Brigades, folks. There's your commercial. So,
Yeah, it's a tough room.
I could do this. Here's what I would suggest is that I'll go through like 2 or 3 slides, and then we have a moment where we'll break and then see where we're at. If you have questions, but we've digested a 2 or 3 or something like that, and kind of gives you a little space to have a dialogue in between. How about that?
That's great. Well, why don't you give us like what's like the log line of what you're about to go over, like just to kind of,
Well, I would say create your own marketing ecosystem and process. And we're starting off with some basics that deal with if you are an indie filmmaker and you don't know a lot about social media or not about the initial parts of marketing, because it's a pretty expansive topic, obviously. Theatrical is a different one altogether in a lot of ways, given the cost factors. But what you can do now to improve your techniques, wherever you are as an independent filmmaker. And some things people would know, some they won't. Some things are I've drawn from my AFM budgeting and scheduling seminar that I did, which when I did it, it was actually interesting because people said, "Oh my God, most people just talk very generally about budgets," and I drilled down into like here's literally the top sheet. Here's the account. Here's the category. Here's the detail. Let me show you how we do this equation. And people were like, "Oh, I was trying to like take screen grabs and everything else." But I figured the more I could, and I sent out the presentation. Robert and I could send the PDF to the Indie Brigades. We wanted to give that away so people have something that they can use. So
awesome. Well, what I'd like to do, with you guys' permission, is put that behind a newsletter sign up.
Yeah.
So people can sign up, and
Great. Great.
and then we can obviously all, we don't share your information, but like us on screen, we'll share your information.
Absolutely.
Like, so
well, one other thing, Michael, as it gets going, for everybody to really keep in mind is every project's going to be unique. So this is just kind of like some ideas, some template ideas, and it'll be something that you'll need to look into and adjust as per your own individual product or product project, whatever you're doing.
Excellent. Well, I'm gonna basically turn it over to you guys, and Richard and I are gonna be like the 2 old Muppets, and we're just gonna sit in the balcony and occasionally interrupt with rude comments.
That was so well said. Okay.
All right, take it away, guys.
I'm going to hit the screen share. We're going to see what goes on here. So, okay, here we go. Yeah, right. Screen share. It should be coming up
first. We're using the screen sharing.
All right, so I am going to.
No, we're
what do you have to
testing
do,
his patience.
Joe? There we go.
Oh, cool.
So,
do you want me to make it full screen, or do you guys want to be on screen?
Full screen's probably better. It's easier to read.
Full screen?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
If you can, that'd be great.
Bang. All right, everybody, welcome to this. Welcome to learning from literally these 2 fucking geniuses.
And
I
if
hope
you
your
can make full screen on your end,
notebooks
Michael.
are out.
Well, but I think I don't know if I can and do the. Let me see. Hang on.
There you go.
Oh, there we go. Okay, there we go. We already kind of covered, because we do have a lot to cover. I'm just going to kind of say, think like a marketer, create your own ecosystem. We covered this. One thing you do have to do is do your own homework, and that just means it's like if it's a job or going to school, and approach it in the exact same purposeful manner. And a lot of people make the mistakes that because they're on Twitter or just on Facebook, that not having a plan or doing the work is going to have the same effect, and it won't. And so you need to kind of come up with a system. And it's really no different than when you're going to make a movie. You have a system for writing the script, for doing the setups, for doing the framing of the shots. You might storyboard it, etc. So approach it in the same way. I think that's a really important aspect to this. So there's something And again, we'll speed through a couple and then stop or whatever we want to do here, Cameron and Richard, Robert, whatever we want to do. But I actually use this technique, and I advocate it when people are doing schedules and budgets because, and I just tell people you're going to wear two hats. And I actually have people put in a creative script into a folder, and then they can actually put in all their ideas on the creative part. Maybe there's different things about the characters or whatever it is, but you can actually do that by saying, how do you like to create and what are you creating, and keep a notebook there. And then when you actually start marketing, have a different notebook. And when you pick up each notebook, believe it or not, it's like, if you want to write a novel, don't write in your bedroom. That's where you go to sleep. So you write at the kitchen table. And if you physically separate the two, like a green notebook and a black one, whatever you want to call it, you'll actually start to think differently as you're marketing. And I think that's a really important way to do it. So if you're writing a description of your project or your business, your ideal audience member, who's going to identify, you're the number one profile of your project because you're making the project. And what marketing groups, what kind of groups do you could you see that might like it? In the case of indie brigades, it'd be filmmakers, people. My instinct is people that might like to ride motorcycles and make movies is a good one. Musicians, people outside the usual mainstream, of course, because you have woodworkers. So you have different ways to approach things as you're actually kind of undertaking your marketing here. And when you start to do this, you want to start to pick platforms. And one thing I think people make a mistake, Robert actually taught me about, was that I had so many different platforms. I never got a deep enough effect on all of them, and I couldn't improve my skill set. So Facebook is, and I know Indie Brigades is switching from a lot of Facebook and their algorithm and a lot of skullduggery, shall we call it, but nonetheless, they still maintain one of the largest pools of contacts in the world, if not the largest. And so I picked just from what I'm doing, but you use Facebook, and I have Quora and Reddit because I'm doing things about writing, filmmaking, martial arts trends, etc. So I have like what I call the majors and the minors. And then I can kind of use this, but what's interesting about using Quora and Reddit, when I come up with a good thread, I could repost it on Facebook, do a screen grab, and I put it on Facebook to generate content. So it kind of becomes an interesting little feed platform. The delivery platform, I talked to Joe about this, and using StreamYard to do another seminar I'm going to do on December 5th. I tried Twitch, but a lot of people didn't have that as they weren't members, so they couldn't quite chat with me very well. So I think if I use StreamYard, I can go into the Facebook and Twitch, etc. So that's my delivery. And also, where's your supplement or other minor platforms? So now you could see I kind of started off with a little bit of a plan. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say a quick note on this too, which is I think very important to keep in mind. Even though you're picking a major starting point for your engagement, don't get stuck on all your marketing or all your income is going to come from one. All you have to do is get shut down on one and you're dead in the water. So do start with one, go deep, then go wide though. Make sure that you cover all the bases and keep the, it's a way of thinking multiple income streams, multiple marketing streams.
Well, there we go. I like that idea. Learn. Always learning.
Yeah, Michael.
It changes. I heard a Muppet. All righty then. Well, we talked about this. We know about the platforms and what's available on social media, so I'm not going to belabor that point. But I will say one thing interesting going on Facebook. I have actually met people in Lille, France, and a lot of people in Australia. I had a podcast there, and that kind of took up. Sweden, UK. I mean, I've had some interesting people meeting on Facebook around the world. So you don't know where it's going to actually go. So I think having that kind of audience is a really good way to go, at least to start to get them to come over, like I think Cameron's wisely doing with Twitch. So,
Well, and you know what? I just want to just jump in and say, you know, our intention is never going to be to abandon our post on Facebook. We're in the throes right now. We had this tremendous growth over the last year, and then all of a sudden in the last couple of months, something's happened, and it's not just me, it's other members of, it's other folks in the brigade, and our stuff's like, I don't know what the fuck happened to the algorithm or what, but we're battling it. So that's kind of what drove our decisions. And we don't ever want to abandon our post on Facebook. We would like to be able to not have to just worry about Facebook. We'd like to be able to know that in the event that something like this happens, that we have a contingency plan.
Kind of like what Robert said, to go wide. So now you've actually got a good backup, which I think is, and when you were describing it to me, I thought, oh, that's brilliant. And I examined Twitch and Discord, and I said, yeah, that's I said, Cameron is smarter than he looks. And I just said, that's a really good way to go. And it makes a lot of sense to me. So, what's interesting is that even in this few seconds here, of course, we've come up with a good learning exchange of knowledge amongst ourselves, how it all changes. I mean, it's a moving target in a lot of ways. So I agree. And it's a good pipeline to Twitch. It's like, I agree with you. So let's see. The next thing we had was something we covered, which is about, your mental focus and to be consistent. So we all know this. That's an easy one. But it's an important one to get your arms around. And the kind of one thing I'll say is, have this mantra. Have this as be a mantra in a way. And like, for example,
what now?
A bit of a mantra. This is your mantra. Repeat after me, Cameron.
What? I wasn't focused. I'm sorry.
Oh, fuck me.
They are going to kick your ass.
Jeez.
I'd just be embarrassed, Michael.
Why do I torture myself here? So
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to live up to the Muppet thing. That's all.
Good job. Well, one thing is that I think it's been proven many, many times that if you have written goals, then you will achieve those goals. So the same thing applies to having a plan, and you hold yourself accountable. And something like this is pretty good because you actually are able to come up with what you're going to hold yourself to and a good reminder. So it could be on a spreadsheet or whatever you want to do, but this is a really good way to go. And you can see, every day or whatever you can do and start to manage it. And weekly, you actually have something that's not going to overwhelm you. There's a really good article called 1,000 True Fans by this guy, Kevin Kelly. And everybody really should read that. It basically talks about getting an attainable goal of 1,000 true fans, which in essence are your mini influencers. And these are people that will really tell other people about what you're doing. So make sure everybody reads that article. Go look it up. Go look it up here, or just search for it and it'll come up. So that's really important, a written target and a goal list. When we're looking at one of the best times to post, this changes a little bit, but it seems to be, Robert, correct me if I'm wrong, it seems to hold steady at pretty much Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, some of Saturday and like Friday evening, but Sunday's a real dead time, and Monday's not good.
Right.
But
and of course, depending on what you're doing, if it's nighttime activities or maybe entertainment film, where somebody might be looking at it in the evening, then the posting time might be different. A lot of times, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday mornings, people will get it in their mailbox, not the first thing in the mailbox, but after they've put out their few fires, so maybe around 10 a.m. or 11 a.m.
Yeah, I think it was like 10 to 2 or 10 to 3 that are the best times to post and engage, which I find, I always thought that was kind of odd because I would have thought it would be the evening when people were home, but they're not necessarily responsible at work. They're checking Facebook, So I guess that's the and more so even nowadays, I guess, right, with working from home. So
right,
people are actually up that hour.
yes, they are, Joe. Sorry.
And I was under the same impression though. Like prime time is the way to go. Like between 7 and 9 p.m.
No, not at all. In fact, it depends. If you go to this is one of several you could look at. Sprout Social's just one that I will go to and refer. But there's, 6 to 10 of these that are out. That I've looked at, and by and large, they, if you want to say I'm posting on Instagram, I'm posting on Facebook, I'm going to post on Twitter, whatever it is. But they will also even break it down further and show you like what would be a heat map to say, if you are talking about movies on Instagram, here is the good time to do it. If it's fashion, it's this. If it's lifestyle or travel, it's this. They actually have it broken down fairly well to say, like, these are the best times to post. This is where you'll get the most engagement.
Another reason why for your particular project, it's going to be a little bit different. So do your homework.
Yeah. So, so that's that was an eye-opener, actually, when I started diving more and more into that with Robert here going, no, Mike, you're completely wrong. Let me show you. You get good lessons in humility from your friends. So one thing is develop a method for posting. And this is some tools Robert and I went through. We've gone through a number. Some you use and then abandon. You go, well, that's not really working for me. We not too many of those for us, but a few. But one thing is ScreenFlow is proving to me to be exceptional because I can actually come up with find something of interest on film or writing or a trending topic, whatever it is I'm going to post about, and you use ScreenFlow from your computer. It edits well. You could put in stock content that you can license, and as well as titles, etc. It's a very simple editing program, but it is really fast. And so you should find out what kind of tools you can use that are fast and easy to work with. And like on Sketch, which is this one here, it actually is kind of a nifty program because like I'm writing my novel and I use so I go to writing groups. I've written like 5 novels and nonfiction books and I guess about 60 scripts or something. But when I'm writing my novel, I show the before, the original, and the revised. And being kind of a geeky wordsmith, I actually will put them side by side, grab them, and then I'll point out how I changed the text and why. Maybe it's for a metaphor, maybe it's thematic realization, maybe it's, and then I'll say, here's why I did it, and here's how I like it, and it's better. And I post that on like writing groups. And I think people get a great benefit out of it, and I enjoy that, and it engages people in creativity. And I literally can do a post in, 12 minutes. So I really now start, and I've got a little a logo I make with a title. So I have a branding quality. And all this is done, I really use Sketch, and I could use Adobe Post, which is very, very quick for me. So find the tools that allow you to do that. And what I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I didn't give you enough time to get through Creator Studio, and then I'll make a comment. Go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry.
And then Creator Studio is just something on pages and groups that allow you to post now or post in the future. And if I have an idea and I go, well, it's Sunday, I'm not posting today, but I don't have anything coming up on Tuesday, and I think I'll post then. So you could start to use Creator Studio for a lot of things, analytics and posting. Go ahead, Robert.
Yeah, I was going to say, since some of these technologies make the actual individual tasks so much easier and faster to do, it's so much easier than to make your plan on a spreadsheet, make your plan, you can map it out, and you can create most of this content and plan it out. Develop it over maybe a month's period of time, plan it out for 6 months of dissemination. So it just really helps to cut the timeline and help you have a clearer vision of the plan, and then you just have to maintain it. Because there's going to be comments and posts, coming back at you that you need to respond to and whatnot. But at least getting the initial stuff out there, it's the way to go. This is that's it. I'm going to stop talking. Next.
I think I
have a question.
Yeah.
I have a question. What is Adobe Post? I have the,
Adobe Spark. I'm sorry, I should have wrote Spark. My mistake. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. I used Spark actually when we released Richard's song 6 Feet Away. That's what I used. I used Adobe Spark to do all the, and I could do images and everything in minutes on my phone and push it out.
That's what I meant as Adobe Spark. Thanks for catching that. Yeah, and it's a robust little program, and you can actually have a template that you can cycle over and over, at least something that shows your logo or whatever you're trying to do. And I'm sure there's equivalent ones to that, other than having an Adobe subscription or something. But it's a great little program. So
yeah, the Creative Cloud is something I resisted for a while, and I don't know why, because it's changed my life. It's so fucking amazing.
I couldn't agree more. I was actually at a PGA conference, and they were going to have a little thing about Michael Bay, conversation with Michael Bay. And I'm like, well, what are you going to do? Just, have an hour's worth of screaming or something? So I said at the little theater on the Fox lot on 20th Century Fox, I said, what's happening next? And they said, we got this thing called Creative Cloud and Adobe. And I said, well, that sounds constructive. I'll at least see what you guys have to do. And it really was amazing and impressive. And I literally that next week I switched everything over.
Yeah.
And it was a very smart move, because I've long used Adobe After Effects, and you can combine it with Dimension and Premiere and Audition, and I mean on and on and on. It's by far the only way to go. And they actually, David Fincher used that to do one of his movies. I don't know if it was Gone Girl, but because he was shooting in 8K, and then what he would do, because he'd do a 2-shot in 8K, and then he could cut to zoom in for a single that would be 4K. So he was using that, and then he would manipulate in Cinema 4D any kind of models or VFX, which immediately went to Adobe After Effects, which then went into Premiere, so he could have somebody work on that model and tweak it while he was editing. And you couldn't do that.
I think the first movie he did that on was The Social Network.
Maybe that was it. Yeah.
Because I was at Red Studios out there, and he had an entire soundstage set up as his post-production room.
Oh, wow.
He had and the back of it was like a cigar lounge with big leather couches and cigar ashtrays. Then he had his entire editing team on a raised platform in front of him, and he was watching what they were doing on a big giant movie screen on the soundstage. And they were going through a lot of what you're talking about when I was there. And I think that was he was one of the first people to adopt the process you're talking about right there. Anyway, sorry, squirrel and rabbit hole. And so I'm going to mute my microphone.
But that's, but no, it's it does show that, how well Adobe could integrate to your social media marketing component by taking stuff from that media encoder and everything else and apply towards your marketing, because now it's actually going to set up, in both worlds. So I think we kind of, I'm going to give us the thumbs up on that rabbit hole. That's all I'm saying. So that's it. When we talk about engagement, we did talk about genuine engagement, and some people struggle with this. I had to kind of get my little story about being of service and trying to be helpful. I mean, that kind of helped me get my arms around it. But each of these has my Creative Explorer, Indie Brigades. You have a way to kind of find out, hey, this is what we are doing, and this is what we're putting together, and this is the mission that we're on. And that in and of itself is really important to have that, almost a mission statement. I think it does help you, get you through. So One thing is when you are of service, one thing is a lot of people have this idea of making movies. I'm not good enough, or worry or fear. And I think having this engagement and drive is really going to help pull you through. And that's one thing I like about Indie Brigades is up here, it fosters a certain courage to make things happen. So I think that's just an important part of getting your mission going. We get into some area here where it's really Robert's expertise, because he really knows about SEO, and one of his associates is very good at this. And this is just an example. If you have a WordPress website, which is what I use, that there's a lot of tools to increase your SEO, to help drive your Google results in your website. And in the long term or the short term, and you can see over here that it will automatically analyze it and talk about links and how you can actually improve that article or whatever you're doing to really help get the SEO so that you go up the search engine. Robert, you want to comment on that?
Yeah, just a simple. A lot of people hear SEO and search engine optimization, but they don't really understand kind of what we're talking about here. And as a very general, general description, consider your website or wherever it is that you want people to land on is a magnet. And you want to make that magnet as powerful as possible. So you do what's called on-page SEO, and that could be just the main page of the website, or you do on-page for other pages that are deeper, or article pages as well, and that helps build it even more. But if you make that your website, for just to simplify this, a fat, keyword strong, but focused, strong magnet, then you've got your on-page SEO. That's great. And it'll help bring in all the little iron filings, come in and attach itself and have that interest and come into your site from off-page SEO. And so the off-page SEO has to do with articles that are shared on other people's sites, press releases, your ecosystem with your social media. So you're creating this whole ecosystem. If you think about a tree farm, and a tree farm, in the middle of it, the trees are tall and beautiful and it's rich, and the ground around them is rich because all the leaves that fall down, they mulch, and it becomes really good fertile ground. But the trees on the outside are wind whipped and smaller and not as healthy or big and strong. So you're creating this sort of a tree farm ecosystem around your website to draw in from social media and other article, blogging, press release, like I said, and drive it all in. So you need those two factors: the on-page strong magnet, then the off-page that helps to bring in extra and direct them to you too.
You guys get all that?
I hope that helps. If you could see my hands moving as much as they were, I know it would help.
There you go.
Go to the next thing. Go fuck yourself, Robert.
just keep moving on here. That's it. One thing is, Robert is really good about. He and his associate, another Robert, actually, that works with us. When they had this conversation about SEO, I was literally feverishly typing up notes because how they were saying it was really brilliant. And this also changes, much like algorithms, like using long tail keywords in your article. So if somebody is saying, like an Indie Brigades article on the website might say something like, helping veterans today with filmmaking skills, or something like that. But literally that long tail keyword is one that you could put into an article about the veterans and try and say it, I guess 3 or 4 to 5 times within the article. And then when people actually type that in to Google, it'll search and get a hit on that phrase or pretty close to that phrase. And that helps your SEO rise up because you're using long tail keywords, which are less frequently used than, let's say, veterans in film as a shorter phrase.
Right. It's more the niche. The long tail keywords is the niche, and the riches are in the niches, right?
Yep.
So just like Michael's saying, the long tail keyword drills it down to a more specific subject matter that somebody might be, typing in and searching for. Whereas just the 1 or 2 word that you want to try and use will be too broad and too big of a chance to be missed, or somebody going to some other page.
And that's actually one that, I put down here, be patient with yourself to build skills and knowledge, because I have to remind myself, okay, if I write articles for Robert and I on various projects and write fairly quickly, but then I have to go, oh, what is my long tail keyword? And I could actually search for it and then be able to say, oh, okay, so that's my long tail keyword, work it into the article. And it's a bit of a pain in the ass initially, but then you kind of get a little used to it, and you say, "Oh, so if I'm making a film about motorcycles and painting, there we go, Richard. We got motorcycles and painting, and so somewhere I could say, well, I ride around the country and I paint. I drive around the country on my motorcycle and do painting. You see. You kind of keep working that in, and pretty soon that becomes, when somebody hits on that article, boom, it's the one that comes up. So it's kind of an interesting technique to get your arms around, is kind of saying, well, say the phrase that's going to come up. So
you use the phrase of what the people who are looking for you are going to use those phrases, and you want them to find you. So,
yeah. And I mean, you can't drill down into a better, remember, if you actually use those long tail keywords, that goes back to the 1,000 true fans. And if there's 2.1 billion people on Facebook, you need 1,000 true fans of people looking for those words in a way. And they'll gradually come to you if you're consistent. So another thing that we actually do, but is very good for anybody to do it, is press releases, which seems to be something that, for the most part, a lot of people think are rather archaic. Because you think, press release, what's that really do? It sounds like somebody running down a 1930s Rosalind Russell, Jimmy Stewart movie with a press release in hand. And it has that odd sound to it in a way. But again, Robert came up with, explaining it to me. And what it essentially does is, and I'll let him explain more, but if I have a newsworthy, and the key element is newsworthy, you just can't say, hey, contact me and buy my movie. You want to say, I'm doing a project and we got this actor in it, or we managed to complete 10 episodes or something. It's newsworthy. So that has to be the primary goal of the press release. And the secondary one, of course, is now you're making people aware, and therefore they'll buy your project. Robert, take it away.
Yeah. It all needs to be written just like it's a news reporter, in the third person, talking about who you are, what your project is. But the announcement is great. But what's more important is, consider this, as is demonstrated on here, it's 395 backlinks. We have seen typically anywhere from, on the low end, 300, on the high end, a little over 500 pickups with these, with the networks that we're working with. That we're able to get to. And it's not just that the news gets out there. Think about this. It's linked in and embedded on all these other news sites that are already high ranking. So think of it from an SEO technique perspective. They're already high ranking. You're getting all these backlinks that are coming back. You're getting the news out there that's interesting for your niche. And it links back to who you are. And, it's building that ecosystem because it's out there surrounding you in a technology SEO system. So you've got to look at it and combine both the writing style of the newsworthiness. You can't use, I or you or, those kinds of words. You have to all do all third party. It's got to be all written like it's a report about you. You can do quotes of, Michael Mandaville and, Cameron Romero, and we're all on with Richard Grieco on the Indigo Brigade. This is great. Well, we can't just say it that way ourselves. We can say these people were on the Indigo Brigade, and here's a quote, famous quote from Michael Mandaville: "Go fuck yourself." And then so it's
the immortal line,
right? The way it's constructed with the keywords, and then you have all these places linking back to you and driving and giving more power to that magnet again, like I talked about it before. Okay.
Yeah, I think one thing would be, like, let's say Richard were, to do his opera, which he's going to do. I'm going to announce it right now. But Yeah. So I'll put it all on his shoulders now. I just have to say a few words. But the idea is that he would say, I am going to this venue for music to, and announce that he's going to have this kind of tour for his opera. But I mean, as it were, it leads into the overall plan, a long-term plan. And one thing is, I was really surprised when we got some of these reports. Robert's very good at this. But over here, you can see the Miami Herald. You could see San Jose Mercury News. These are really good. And I mean, it goes 390. We've had as high as 504 backlinks. So highly legitimate news sources, which further, interestingly enough, validate the news and your efforts. I think that's an interesting part, that it's a third-party validation of its newsworthiness.
Yes.
Here's one I didn't even mark down here, the Boston Herald. And that's a really great technique. So one thing is that when you're doing your project is you have these newsworthy events, you can actually come up with a lot of different things. And that notebook we talked about in the very beginning, the 2 hats, this is the kind of thing you start to write down going, well, I like to, and going in Richard's case, because he's multi-talented here, he's doing some acting, he's doing some painting, he's doing music, he's got Booker and Vader hanging out. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on there, and he keeps kind of writing. So what's going on that is newsworthy? And then pretty soon you kind of come up with this, I want to say, authentic engagement that says, yeah, that really is newsworthy. And I mean, then you get behind it again on your mission, and you can see how all these little pieces of the puzzle kind of work together when you get them all moving on the same kind of machine process or something.
Yeah.
Robert explains a lot better than I. When he and his friend talk, I just shut up and take notes. So
you're doing a great job, Michael.
When we get back, and here's the creator studio. First of all, you gotta, if it's not working, what the hell's going on? What the fuck's going on here? Blame Joe. That's number one. So that'll alleviate any tendencies you have to blaming yourself. And I strongly suggest you do it. Send him a very strongly worded letter saying, Joe, you really fucked up, and here's some scotch, and I'm including the bottle. And but you get feedback. You actually go, like I've had things that I did and I put out there, and you go, the groups just say, oh, we're not going to let you post because you have to post directly. You just can't share. So they have admin things. You could try a different angle. I've got a couple things I tried and go, oh, that one worked. That one didn't. So with the Creator Studio, you get something called insights and publishing tools. So you have to start to analyze it. You actually are, in a way, not in a way, you are playing chess with Facebook, with groups, in whatever way, or video games, a nice strategy video game of world domination or something. But whoa, when you think of it that way, it becomes fun. So, and because you're an outlaw in India and an outlaw, I think it's even more fun. So, if you think of it as give yourself the mark of 1,000 true fans, and say, how do I get to that 1,000? 1,000 is doable on 2.1 billion in Facebook. So now you can see I got a mission, and I go, oh, that's within grasp. I'm not going insane trying to get 500,000. Just get that 1,000, and then you can make your next goal. It's all doable, and you have to make sure. Like the life coach that I work with, she actually took a picture of these stairs, and she, basically said, look, to get to the top, you just focus on one step at a time. That's true, but we have to remind ourselves. So there's some really good sources, and this is a relatively simple plan. Robert and I have some more complex ones and people we work with, etc. But this is highly manageable for a film and a project. And I think we've already covered a lot of this here, but the one thing is, Robert and I say this: we do not fear the man who knows 10,000 kicks, but the man who has done one kick 10,000 times.
Exactly.
You know,
Because it hurts when it gets you.
yeah, that's the one that's going to really kick your ass. And that's an old martial arts saying, meaning obviously if you have one thing you're doing really well, or my mission after talking with Robert is to actually get much, much better at one thing like Facebook and just really know the ins and outs of it. So this is that's the best way to go and take some pressure off yourself, even in this new venture. So anyways, that's kind of the end of it there, Cameron and Richard. And I don't know if I want to, I'll turn off the share screen here.
All right. So I just got to say, George, I'm voting Michael in for our social media guy now. He's taking care of all of it now.
It's a you know what I find interesting about it is it works totally with the indie brigades. It works with the artist. It works with the individual. And I had this discussion with a friend of mine. What's more important, the individual or the state in a way, or you know, the collective or something? But I really personally believe so much in the individual because the individual innovates. The individual just says, you know, it could be Jobs, it could be Einstein, it could be Madame Curie, it could be all, you know, who are musicians that say, oh no, I'm taking this kind of music and I'm adding this, and somebody goes, well, what's your name, Elvis? I mean, I don't think so, dude. You know, I mean, you just gotta. How many people does the individual come through and really break through? And so,
well, I think that question right there speaks to the very root of what the Indie Brigade is about, which is to basically strip your artist down, strip your creativity down to its most basest element, and identify and answer those questions. And you know, and if you know, one of the slides early on was talking about how one of the things we try to do is help give folks some courage that they might not otherwise have.
Yeah. That's an abiding principle of the Indie Brigades, and I praise you for extolling that as a virtue and embracing it, you know, in their mindset. You've done a great job at that, Cameron.
Thank you very much. You know, I mean,
you
the
too,
hardest
Joe.
thing to do.
Well, thank you.
Go fuck yourself, Joe.
Well, thank you too.
If you don't have the balls to walk around with your creativity hanging out there for the world to see, you're never going to have the balls to put anything you do out into the world. And if you don't have the balls to put it into the world, that means that's just another excuse to never finish it, which is just another excuse to never fucking start it.
Yeah. Well said.
Yeah, and we talk about that. Actually, Grieco and I talk about that a lot. Michael, you and I have talked about that a lot. Robert, I look forward to many conversations with you about that, because that is like the biggest thing, the biggest hurdle that a lot of creatives have is, well, I'm creative, but I'm not like those guys. Or I've got this, but I'm not like, I mean, those guys really have been doing it a long time.
You got to get rid of your limitations.
You know, you gotta. It's that stepping to the cliff to jump with your friends, and you know, you've got the one friend who's going to run and jump, and then you've got the one friend who's just going to walk back to the car. You know, we're trying to make it so everybody wants to jump.
I have a, you know, it's interesting. I was reflecting back on all the people I've worked with, and some fairly well-known directors, and you know, people in martial arts worlds too, Robert as well. And I just was reflecting back on this sense of, I've had some of these people, and we're on set, and they'll go, "Hey, so what do you think?" And I'm like, "Why the fuck are you asking me?" But when you start to think about it, and you know, I had a guy who's a martial arts legend, and he did a seminar, and then Larry comes back to me and he goes, "Hey, was that okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it was really good." I mean, you know,
was it Bill?
No, another guy, but it was. It's interesting because those people all have a certain human frailty. They just keep pushing through. And I was at the DGA, and Spielberg was speaking, and so the place was packed, and he's talking about his movies, and he's getting interviewed, and et cetera, et cetera. And And then he goes, oh, it was funny because he said, oh, yeah, Munich. Yeah, we had all these Zooms in there, and it was a total clusterfuck. That's a quote. And everybody just roared because how can one of the most successful creative and certainly financial filmmakers of all time say that he had a problem? I mean, and that's just a bigger problem. Everybody's going to have them.
Well, listen, I can't thank you guys enough for going through that with everybody tonight. I think it was a big eye-opener for a lot of people. And I think that as we even follow your advice and work to even follow that, we're going to find even more people who are going to find what you talked about tonight even more valuable the more we get it out there. I mean, that's what the Indie Brigade is about, and that's what we're trying to do, and that's our reach. We are running out of time tonight, though, gentlemen, and so I'm going to have to call it because Joe has to go wee-wee.
and there we have it. Oh, that's a cold stare, man. We're going to hit you with a hammer out the door, dude. I can see it now.
Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thank you. You guys have a good night.
Thank you. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Brother, Grieco, what about that? That was some fucking knowledge, huh?
Yeah, it was.
Those guys know their shit.
Yeah, they do. We gotta set up. You and I actually gotta set up a meeting with those two and talk about some things.
Yeah, well, we need to get on that phone call anyway, so we'll make that happen this week. And we are running out of time here, though. Is David there?
He is. David, you ready to come up? Oh, that was way too enthusiastic.
Oh, no audio.
Yeah, we can't hear you. You're fisting something. I don't know what that was.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
We got you.
Damn this microphone to hell! Damn you! Sorry about that.
David is doing a werewolf film and has decided to go method.
Yes.
No, wait a minute. Did he go to Utah and smoke meth or method? Which is it?
You look great, David. You look great.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
The beard.
Yeah, like the beard. Like the beard, Dave.
Yeah, I'm starting to look like an old wise guy.
No, it looks good. Actually, it looks really good.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Coming from one of the best-looking guys on the planet, I'll take that as a compliment. Thank you, Mr.
You're starting to look like an outlaw.
You know, this is actually all in love because I don't know if you guys got to see the episode last week with Tim Busfield.
It was great.
And then Tim Busfield literally has had this since he's like 2. So I figured I would go with the Tim Busfield look because that cat is just like one of the coolest dudes around.
Nice.
So, go ahead.
So, you have a great show lined up tonight.
I don't, but thank you for saying that. I have KP Burke coming on. He's a wonderful stand-up comedian who's been on every major comedy show that you could imagine. This cat is super, super funny. I've seen him at many clubs here in the Northeast. Very, very, I figured everything is so heavy in the world right now. So I figured I'd do a nice, light, funny show tonight. And, and in between shows, while of course Joe is doing a pee-pee, I want everybody to very, very quickly run over to my Facebook page and watch the Christmas video that me and Scott Schiaffo and Brian O'Halloran have a Christmas song out there. So check it out. And this way tonight, when our show's on, you could make fun of me and Uncle Scott because you had seen our video.
Yeah, I'm not even going to say that you were supposed to send that to me and we were going to do that live.
I don't have a, as I told you, I don't have a Dropbox.
It's so hard to get.
You know what's interesting? And KP is a stand-up comedian. He's a super talented, funny guy. But you know what comedians love?
What's that?
You should look at him at one point and just say, "Hey, say something funny."
All yes,
comedians love it when you say that.
I before in between when he was doing his AV check before our show, as you know, George, you were there. I asked him if he wanted to do stand-up, and he literally looked like he wanted to shoot me in the face. So I was like, okay. No stand up. I even tried like, hey, it's like Carson. It's old school. You know, it'll be funny. And he was just like, no, I hate Carson.
Dave,
So,
Dave, do you realize how long Carson's been off the air now?
Yeah, I was going to say that.
how long? Like it's been
That's
6.
all right.
It's been at least 6 months, right?
Yeah, when I talk about late night, I still say Carson too, because those are some of my favorite memories growing up. Was like staying up late to watch Johnny Carson.
Yeah, I mean, and really everybody who does it today is just kind of like a derivative of Carson. He was the man.
Mm-hmm.
Can I say
Well,
Letterman? Is that newer?
That is newer. Yeah, no,
That's newer.
That's
Hey, Rich, did you ever do Carson or Letterman?
I did. I was supposed to do Carson, and then I didn't and then I ended up doing Jay the year Jay got the Tonight Show. So the
sweet.
year after, yeah.
Did you do like Arsenio? Who was the Fox guy at that time? I think it was Alan Thicke. Did you do Alan Thicke?
I did Arsenio 4 times.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, and I think I did Alan's show, and I did Dennis Miller's first episode.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Talk show.
Yep.
Yeah, it didn't last long.
Neither did Dennis Miller, oddly enough.
Yeah,
No.
Lance is saying this little known guy, Jimmy Fallon, apparently.
Oh,
Yeah, Jimmy.
those newfangled kids.
Yeah.
Lance fell on something. What he?
Well, I won't keep
All
you
right.
guys with my stupidity. It was great seeing you. Everybody, Richard and George, if I don't see you later, have a very, very wonderful Thanksgiving. Enjoy your family. Enjoy your time for the holiday season. And I'll catch you guys soon.
You got it,
Same
brother.
to you, David. Have a great show.
See ya. All
Richard,
right.
brother, thank you so much. Love you, man.
Love you too. Get used to your.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
working
guys
on
got to
it.
start broadcasting that crap too.
I know.
Yeah, I know. I'm working
Look
on
at
it.
that. Look
Richard,
at that.
you're gonna be
Impressive,
held
isn't it?
responsible for it. You're gonna be doing
I'll
the
hit you up in a-
broadcasting.
I'll hit you up in a little bit. We'll jump on. All right, brother.
Good night. Thanks.
Later.
Oh man, that was good
Fun
shit.
show. Good information. This is the kind of stuff that I really hope that we can spread the word about the brigade, that we're here to drop knowledge that you're not going to find anywhere else for free. So, Joe, I love you. You know I love you.
I love you too, brother.
Bust your balls a lot, but you know it's all in good fun. And I actually don't bust your balls when we're not on the air, so it's all just fun. Not much anyway.
Full screen. Take it away.
Man, what a show tonight. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you, Richard Grieco. Thank you, Michael Mandaville. Thank you, Robert Lennon. What a great show. Thank you for popping on, David. David, you're going to have a great show here in a few minutes. That's about it, everybody. I can't thank you enough for tuning in. I love each and every one of you, and please help me spread the word about this thing, because what we're trying to do here is really important, not just for us, but for other people like us. Remember, before you all found the Indie Brigade, you thought nobody else out there was like you or going through the same kind of creative struggles you're going through. There is somebody else out there that you know who's going through it, who hasn't found the brigade yet. So do me a favor, do them a favor, try to bring as many people as you can to the Indie Brigade and help us break through this sort of thing that we're dealing with. So I love you all. Thank you so much. And as always, fuck off till next time. To be an indie means we buck a system that doesn't want us. To be a fringe filmmaker means we don't do it for them. We do it for ourselves. To be an outlaw on the fringe means we'll die before we fail. Be an outlaw.
Where am I? There I am.
We're not in Kansas anymore.
So is my mic working now? I know it is. You can outfox the old fox.
The old fox with the new beard.
Mwah! Thank you for working.
Was it the batteries?
No, it was the cord. There was a cord that, because on the Rode mic is a very short, like 6-inch cord, and I had a cord that ran into it. So I went and I absconded my daughter's cord, and now it's working. So I have an angry 17-year-old running around the house who can't listen to her music, but who gives a shit? Hello, everybody. Hello. How is everybody tonight? Nobody's talking to me. Nobody loves me, Joe. That's the problem. Everybody's like, we'll watch George's show because it's brilliant and smart and witty and great. And then when Dave's tripe comes rolling along, we will click off. So I think it's just you and I, Joe. So did anybody go on and watch? Did you watch my Christmas video, Joe?
I did not. See, you posted it at 8 o'clock. What do you think I'm doing at 8 o'clock?
I don't know. Your show starts 9 o'clock.
So I would probably be doing show prep at 8 o'clock.
Come on, I know better than that.
Wow. Especially after you told me we were going to do it live on your show.
I don't have a way. I told you 57 times. I don't have a. I have.
Ladies and gentlemen in the audience. No.
Okay, I'll let you go.
Dropbox. All you have to do is put your name and an email address, and you have a Dropbox account.
I understand that. I totally understand it. I actually have a Dropbox account that I have paid for, but I have a problem. I'm making a movie about the quarantine. And I am over my limit on space in my Dropbox. That's how many people wanted to be a part of that film.
Well, that's awesome.
And I have not backed up the space that is allotted to me yet. So I didn't want to delete somebody to put up my Christmas video.
Google Drive. Anyway, so there's this really handsome dude down in the green room right now. I don't know if you're aware of that. Yeah.
I have no idea who that could possibly be.
Very good-looking guy. And I'm going to pull him up. And ironically enough, we're both sporting the ponytail tonight, except mine's behind a hat.
Ladies and gentlemen, Uncle Scott Schiaffo. Hello, my friend.
Hello, boys. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm very well tonight.
Did you get to see the Christmas video?
I did. I didn't see it at 8 o'clock. You had sent me a link, and I watched. It was very spirited.
Okay.
No, you did a great job.
I guess that's better than saying it was a steaming piece of crap, Dave.
No. It's quite. It's what's the word I want?
Festive.
Right. It's festive, and it's
apparently Joe didn't pay his electric bill.
All ages, and you really get a good idea of how we were having fun with the song, and it wasn't taken too seriously in the sense of we're kind of having a fun sing along. It was great.
Yes.
You want to try to do this now? Do you want to?
What's that?
Bring it up live, or
can you do that?
I can attempt to.
Sure, give it a try. It's on Facebook if you can play it.
Well, yeah, I know where it is.
Oh.
Let's see.
Without further ado, if this actually works, this is the new video for the Wandering Wannabes Christmas single Jingle Bells. It features Brian O'Halloran, superstar pop culture icon from Clerks, on lead vocals. It features Scott Schiaffo on every instrument imaginable and background vocals. And it features the great Joe Ferry Grammy Award winner Joe Ferry on bass, and Alan Jacks Bowers from I always forget Margaritaville Guy's band.
Jimmy
Jimmy
Buffett.
Buffett.
He plays the drums with Jimmy Buffett's band. So here it is. If we can show it, it is the streaming premiere of Jingle Bells by the Wandering Wannabes.
Let's see if this is gonna work.
You gotta take the X off the sound.
Dashing through the snow
I think it's working.
in a one-horse open sleigh. Over the fields we go, laughing all the way. Bells on bobtails ring, making spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and sing on a sleighing song tonight. Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Day or two ago, I thought I'd take a ride. Soon Miss Fanny Bright was seated by my side. The horse was lean and lank, misfortune seemed his lot. He got into a drifted bank and we got upside. Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Now the ground is white, go get it while you're young. Take the girls out tonight and sing this sleighing song. Just get a bobtail bay, 24 for his speed. Then hitch him to an open sleigh and crack, you'll take the lead. Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. In a one-horse open sleigh. In a one-horse open sleigh. Merry Christmas, everybody!
Whoa, there you go. He's got his mic off, you bonehead.
That's on his end. That's not on my end. Scott,
You
your
have-
mic's off.
there you
there
go.
you go.
You know what's funny? We actually recorded that song on this date a couple years back. Isn't that wild, Scott?
Wow,
It was a
really? That
week-
was
yeah, it was a
Session
week-
in Allen's?
Yeah, it was the week before Thanksgiving.
Quick, I just want to give credit where credit's due. On the keyboards was a gentleman named Sean Faust, who in New Jersey is a studio and live keyboard monster. He's a phenomenal musician. Sean did the keys. Everything else was Joe Ferry bass, Alan on drums, everybody else on vocals. I played some guitar, and it was a gas.
Yeah, if you guys get a chance, go on iTunes or Amazon. It's called the Wandering Wannabes Christmas album, and you can download it there. And
I kept waiting for a beheading or something bloody, saving the gore for a New Year video.
okay.
Well, you are known for horror more than anything else, right?
I guess this horrible beard is what I'm known for now. So, Mr. Schiaffo, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing really well. Had a good week and can't complain. A little scared that COVID's on the rise. That's not great, but we got to do what we got to do.
What's your plan?
Yeah.
What's your plans for the big day?
Oh, it's going to be small. You know, it's just as they say, people in your bubble. We've got a very small bubble. So it'll be me, the most awesome Jewel Carey, her son Jay Bucks, and her mom, Doris. And, you know, those are the closest people in my life. So I'm kind of blessed.
Sweet. That's awesome. Well, without further ado, we tortured everybody with our Christmas song. And now we're talking about Thanksgiving. And if you like Scott, Brian, and I, you could always check out Wit's End, which is now available on Tubi and Amazon. So check out our latest movie. It's pretty much everywhere. But without further ado, let's bring up our first guest. This cat is known in comedy circles. He's an amazingly funny and talented stand-up comedian. I have now seen him, I think, like a half a dozen times. And without further ado, Mr. KP Burke. Mr. Burke, how are you tonight?
Fellas, thank you for having me.
Absolutely our pleasure.
No, this is cool, man. Is that lifetime for real? You guys have been doing this for 2 hours?
Well, what happens is that George Romero, the great legendary filmmaker, George Romero, starts his show every Friday night at 9 o'clock. And then at 11 o'clock, this train wreck that me and Scott and Brian and a whole bunch of other celebrity pals of ours comes on after George's show every Friday at 11 o'clock. So it's a network that we run right through from 9 to midnight. But this show always ends at like 12:30, 1 o'clock because we're some stupid shit we're talking about.
Very cool, though, man. Happy to be here.
Yes, and you look like you do you have a podcast? You do, right?
I do, actually. I'm trying to get Scott on it, but I got to get him in my bubble first, apparently. So.
No, I'm glad you went right to it. I wanted to ask you about if you would share with us a little bit about the genesis and the origins of American Loser, because you're doing really well with it, and I think that's great. I haven't, I've heard snips here and there. I'll be honest. I want to get more familiar with it, but can you tell us a little bit about the origins?
No, thank you for the chance to do that, man. It's we started the show. We're in our third year now, so we just celebrated the 2-year anniversary. But the idea came to me originally. It was going to be a book, and I was going to write stories about everybody who ran for president and lost, because there's a lot of weird names in there that people forget ran, and some weird characters from history. And then I just started compiling a list of people who would be considered losers from American history. And it turned into a pretty good show. And I realized the first person I call when I come up with one of these is my dad. So now the show has been going on for over 2 years now. It's me and him. Every week we sit down and tell the story of some weird loser from American history. So we apply the term quite liberally in terms of, making sure we always have content. But it's been super fun to do so far, man.
Yeah, I see that your dad is an integral part of it. And I think that's really awesome.
No,
well, he gets called a DILF a lot, too, in the comments, which makes me uncomfortable.
Oh, that's awesome.
It goes to show you, Scott, I invite the guy on my show, but because you're famous, he wants you. He says, hey, Dave, if you ever want to come by my show, I know you got a new movie out you might want to promote, or you want to, sell beard dye or something.
That's me. No, well, KP, I have a bit of a history with KP. I became aware of him a handful of years ago through the Brian O'Halloran roast. And when we were all invited down there to do that, KP was there at a pre-production meeting, and we hit it off, and he was nice enough to drive my sorry ass all the way home back to Northern Jersey. So we got to spend a lot of time and get to know each other. And he's hilarious and a real genuine guy, real genuine dude. So congrats on all the success of American Loser. And I know it's really a horrible time now for any type of live performance, but I know you're still out there rocking as best you can. But so that's a little bit of the backstory with American Loser and me popping on, which I'd love to do it at some point.
You both find yourselves welcome guests, man. The guests are always a good part of the show too, man, because they bring out, sometimes if they don't know anything, then it's just us being like, saying something straight out of a history book, and then people are just losing their minds, like, not to put either of you guys on the spot, but off the top of your head, do either of you know how many presidents were assassinated?
4.
Yeah. So how far down the list can you get? Because we've noticed just talking to people on the street, they really can't get past the big 2.
Kennedy, William Henry Harrison.
Henry Harrison. That's a great guess, actually. He died in office of the pneumonia, like 30-something days into his presidency or something.
So he wasn't. Oh no. Well, of course, Lincoln.
You're already doing better than most people we spoke to on the street about this, so that's good.
Was Hamilton killed in? Was Hamilton president?
No, he was never president. He's one of the most famous. Him and Ben Franklin kind of have that weird thing of who's the most impressive founding father to never be a president.
I know that he had some kind of weird duel with some dude who shot him like in a cowardly fashion. Something to that effect.
Aaron Burr, right? Dropped him like a Scott and I know about this. Both North Jersey kids. All right, you know what happens in Jersey. That's how we settle shit.
Oh man. So have you had a real penchant for American history for your whole life? Because it sounds like you really do.
Oh, I got hooked on it early on, man. It was my dad would take us on vacations to like forts and battlefields and stuff like that, and so that has a big impact on you. And then growing up, like we weren't poor or anything like that, but we were big on hand-me-down toys and stuff. So I got my hands on a lot of wild stuff in terms of like Fort Ticonderoga, models and cowboy and Indian stuff. I definitely developed the love for it at a young age, and it's carried over. So really, I'm just full of useless Snapple facts. There's no degree behind any of this, or
it was
kind of interesting party conversation.
I'm still trying to get the answer to his question. You said there was 4 presidents. I got 2 of them, right?
Yeah, the fact that you
Kennedy
knew it was 4 is impressive.
No, you said it. Well, okay. The other one was, I'm going to mess up his first name because I'm mixing him up with an actor, but it was Garfield. Was his first name Andrew?
Yes, sir. No, it was James A. Garfield.
James. Okay, I'm thinking Andrew Garfield, the actor. So
yeah,
at least, and Garfield, and the other one was. No, I'm a big president nut. In fact, I got a good question for you when I'm done. McKinley.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Oh.
He got waxed, put Teddy Roosevelt into office, changed the entire country and the world, really.
Can you tell me who the independent candidate who got almost 12% of the popular vote in 1980 was?
1980. Hang on. So what are you talking?
Carter and Reagan.
So that's Carter and Reagan. Man, that is a great one.
He was the first independent who was actually like seriously in the running.
Well, this is pre-Ross Perot then, right?
Oh, yep. Ross Perot was Clinton and Dole, maybe?
Would have been, I think that was a big one. And then actually it was HW too, because he split the Republican votes, they said, because a lot of the Republicans liked Ross Perot. So
yeah, I remember he had those weird shows where he would go on for like a half hour, like right on NBC, like on sitcom hour, they would have the Ross Perot presidential show.
Do you guys? I know it's probably just to show the age difference here a little bit. So I'm revealing how young and inexperienced I am. But there was a show called All That, which was like kids trying to do In Living Color, Saturday Night Live kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. And they had a character on there named Ear Boy, and it was exactly what it sounded like. It was just a kid who had giant ears, and his fairy godfather on the show was Ross Perot, who would come visit him to encourage him to overcome his big ears to do big things. And just a little kid, I couldn't process that shit. I was like, am I learning about politics right now? But I got nothing for you, Dave. That's a great question, man.
That dude's name was John Anderson.
Jesus, generic much, huh?
Yes.
John Anderson. I'm writing this shit down so I don't forget it.
Who was the first female vice presidential candidate, and for what presidential hopeful?
On the top of my head, I want to say Sarah Palin for McCain.
It was Geraldine Ferraro for Walter Mondale.
No shit. I was going to say there was the second guess would have been Dukakis on that one. So
Was she the one that looked like Sally Jesse Raphael?
She was. Well, she was. Yes. Who was Dukakis? No, Dukakis had Lloyd Benson, who literally looked like Jimmy Stewart, and would told Dan Quayle that he worked with Kennedy, he hung out with Kennedy, and you are no Kennedy. This is his classic line. Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. I got into like a useless, stupid presidential election bullshit. I apologize.
that is 90% of my show. So that's a great. What we're doing is showcasing American Loser, oddly. So thank you for that.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. And I've watched your show on several occasions. It's awesome. Your dad's really funny. You guys are he's like a point guard who knows how to give you the perfect alley-oop, so that's.
It is. Oh, I'm going to use that as an example because he's great. And then our sound engineer, who I think Scott knows actually too, Christian Cordes. We call him the Big Kahuna on the show, but he often will take the show over because his reactions to weird historical facts where it just drops his jaw. That's 90% of the fun for us is seeing if we can get that kid to he's a millennial. So whenever you can get them engaged in something that's not a phone, you get pretty excited. But he's great, man.
It's presidents play a big part in it, but it's not just focused on presidents. It's losers from history in general, other things, or it's not just presidents. Or is it?
No. We again, the original idea was going to be a book, and then I realized or remembered how lazy I am, and so we didn't do that. We did the podcast form was great, and we started doing a couple of presidents and looking through that history. But the greatest dude we ever found was we've done disasters before, like the SS Morro Castle. David, are you? I've totally forgot to ask you this. Where in the country are you located?
I am actually in Milford, Pennsylvania, which is right up in the corner where New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania meet.
Oh, I know it. That's a good town, actually.
Yeah.
The SS Morro Castle, we didn't know about this. It was a ship that caught fire it used to go from Cuba to New York City. And then it caught fire, and literally the passengers were being burned alive or diving into the water and trying to, hopefully get to a rescue boat. And that literally the burned hull of the ship washed up along Convention Hall down in Asbury Park.
Oh, sweet. Wow.
Yeah, if
and
you Google the picture
that?
of that would have been, so that was during Prohibition. So you figure 1920s time frame at the worst. Yeah. But yeah, that is for, guys who are horror fans. I can't think of anything spookier than looking at a fucking ghost ship. I'm sorry, I'm cursing too. I don't know if we can on here or not.
Oh, no, you feel free to curse. Yeah.
There's my trucker mouth. Sorry.
There you go. So, Scott, you and KP had a long ride together, you said earlier. What did you guys talk about?
Oh, wow. We talked about everything from independent film to I have a tremendous amount of respect for anybody who gets into the stand-up gig. And KP has a lot of respect for actors. So we were kind of just grilling each other on the whole what the trip is like and what the gigs are like, and and he's really hilarious. If you remember at the roast, he killed. He helped me a little bit initially. I was knocking my stuff together. Unfortunately, I over prepared that night. I think I could have had a third of the material and would have done better because I put in my notes and then I never lived that down from everybody who was there. But he was just so genuinely next level guy out of everybody else. It was, to me, it was bloody obvious.
No, absolutely. The weird thing about that roast, and the best way to describe it to people who aren't there, is it was like literally going to your best friend's wake, and the wake lasted like 12 days. And it was just just put us all out of our misery. It was kind of one of those type of things. But what do I know?
It was an event.
Yes.
A lot of people did possibly over prepare. And there was, everybody could have done like a tight 5, and most people were like 15 minutes longer even. I should have got the hook out of there earlier.
You know, it's funny. I think the roast was like in June, but it was so long that we actually had to set our clocks forward. That's how. So tell me, KP, a little bit about what comedians, when you were just a young kid, a teenager, influenced you and made you want to become a stand-up comedian.
That's it's one of those questions that you get asked all the time, and I always still feel underprepared for it, but it's a good one. My favorite thing ever, I didn't understand stand-up. Like, I knew what it was, but I didn't understand that was like a thing you could do. So growing up as a kid watching the Saturday Night Live reruns, I got really hooked on Norm Macdonald on Weekend Update. And then later on, when I would be watching like the live episodes as a kid, it would be Colin Quinn. So, and those two guys are two of my favorites. That'd be two of my top 5 for sure. But then, I Rodney Dangerfield was always a thing that me and my dad and my mom, like if Rodney Dangerfield comes on, no one's getting up and leaving the room. That's kind of the best thing about him. I think he probably deserves to be on the Mount Rushmore of comedy, but everybody always wants to jerk off George Carlin or Richard Pryor instead of paying respect to Rodney.
It's funny because when I was a young kid, I grew up in a household where I was the youngest of 5 boys, and my parents were, of course, older than me. It works out that way, and they used to show me like classic films, like the road pictures, like the Bing Crosby and Bob Hope films.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and I thought like Bob Hope was like one of the funniest fucking guys. I mean, he you could watch him in 2020 and still laugh at his material. And there was guys like Bob Hope, and there was guys like I'm having a brain fart. Oh, like Bob Hope and God damn it. You know what sucks, KP? I'm 50 years old, and I assume that you're just a kid in your early 30s. If you can avoid hitting 50, do it, because everything just goes downhill. You know, it takes you like a half hour to pee.
That's you look good for 50, dude. That's not bad.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You ejaculate in like 32 seconds. All the things that you used to be able to do, like an awesome young dude could, you can't do anymore, and it's just sad. And it was Steve Martin. When I was a kid,
either him or Mel Brooks. Those were my 2 guesses.
There you go. When I was a kid, I got on vinyl a Steve Martin record. And it was the one where he had the arrow through his head. Maybe Scott remembers what the album was. Yeah.
Live in Dallas or something like that?
It might have been, but...
was it Let's Get Small? Was it one of them, Let's Get Small?
And he did this joke about wanting to buy a speaker system, and he bought one that had like 4 speakers, and then he bought one that had like 8 speakers, and he bought one that like 12 speakers, and he kept saying that they suck. The sound sucks. And it was... That's... Funny, being funny is so awesome, and I wanted to be a stand-up comedian, but I'm not funny. So it was a matter of like just living vicariously through people who are funny. And when I say I've seen you a half a dozen times, honestly, I have. I'm not kidding. Me and Brian, it
means a lot, by the way. I appreciate that.
You're awesomely funny. I don't remember that cat. One time I seen you, that cat who plays the piano and sings funny songs in between.
Good old Chris Covert.
Chris Covert. Yeah. I seen you with him a couple times, and when Brian was doing his stand-up comedian comic act, I think you were on stage with him a couple times. You are really legitimately funny, and that's very, very that's high praise, and it's actually very, very difficult to do. And so congratulations for being funny.
I appreciate that. It's I just what a fun time, and I know everybody's taking a hit all over, but what a fun time to try to go full time with it. I remember quitting my day job, I think about 40-something days before COVID really became a real thing. So I finally stepped away from my career in excavation, who was deemed essential, so that I could go tell dick jokes full time. And I was making my living off of it, and then just watching. I'll never forget it too. I think you guys would appreciate this. Because I remember trying to get Scott out to the show, actually, because he lives kind of close to me. But the first time I was going to be headlining a room where it was going to be me closing it and I was the one selling the tickets, the first, not this most recent one, but the first Friday the 13th of 2020. So I'll never forget that. That day happened, and then I just started crossing out days on a calendar and hasn't stopped since.
You know what's funny about that? The Friday the 13th that you're talking about, the one back in March, that was the day that schools in New York City closed. And Friday the 13th, that just passed last Friday, was the next day that school closed.
Whoa, all right.
Yeah. So I remember picking up my daughter, who's a junior in high school, and she was like, woohoo, we're going to have a week off. And I was like, yeah, that's great. You know, we're going on 9 months later, and she still hasn't returned to school, man. You know, can you imagine how much it sucks to lose your senior year to some kind of bullshit like this?
It does stink.
I mean, because like senior year, for me, I went to LaSalle Military Academy, and it was like they beat me for the first 3 years, and then if you survive to become a senior, they're like, hey, dude, you know, like we'll let up on you now. And that was like the one time that it was worth going to high school. But my poor daughter, she's an academic, and she loves Scott knows her. She calls him Uncle Scott, and she loves school and she loves being smart, and she's pretty much just stuck home with a schlup like me. So I feel heartbroken. So it's kind of sucks.
Have I got a podcast for you?
Oh, there you go.
There's a good plug in a segue.
No, that it does stink that way, man. I'm actually excited. I got to the point now where I'm embracing the because you guys using StreamYard is genius. You know, I like this is fun to do the Zoom comedy shows. Have you guys been forced to see any of those?
I haven't actually.
No, I haven't either.
It's depressing. Like I can't imagine. Like I'm able to. This is my little dumb office thing here that I work out of. So I'm able to come up here and I can just talk to you guys and have a conversation. For the Zoom shows, this would be me trying to perform, jokes. It's pretty much just screaming into the void. That's what it feels like. Because if you're making the people laugh, then the service gets shut. So then they got people doing like jazz hands and snapping their fingers when they think a joke's funny, and it looks like you're yelling in some sort of a West Side Story Matrix thing. It's not good for anybody, you know. That's there you go, Joe.
We look like a demented Brady Bunch. So, KP, tell me a little bit about what are the type of things that trigger in your mind your ability to write jokes for your routine?
Oh, I think it's different for everybody. But I know this, like I've had friends that will attest to this. I have pulled over on the side of the road before to try to bust out my favorite app on my phone, which is Evernote, and then I just put my little dumb notes in there. 9 out of 10 times it's nothing. It makes no sense, and it wasn't worth the effort to even write it down. But that 1 out of 10 times, you put enough of those together, you start getting some good shit in there. So I've been very lucky too.
Is there something you'd like to say, Mr. Ridgely?
Not me necessarily, but Mr. O'Halloran.
Hey, Brian.
What about playing in a parking lot with people honking as laughs?
I have done acid before, and I had a bad trip one time, and I could not have come up with a worse idea than the parking lot full of honking cars. It's terrifying. It sounds jarring because first of all, you don't want the hecklers to be louder than you in a club. I mean, now imagine that the heckler is a car horn that may or may not stop honking as you're trying to compete with it.
And then
was that I don't want to ask Brian directly, but did he do that at that wasn't at Monmouth Racetrack, was it? A little Jersey reference here.
Joe, if Mr. O'Halloran would like to come on for a moment, if you could send him the link, that'd be awesome. Yes.
Damn, you're a ball buster.
You're the producer, aren't you, dude? Jeez.
You guys are fancy.
Fancy. Oh, yes. And also, with people honking, you don't know if you should do stand-up comedian or you should be accepting the presidency of the United States. Either way, it's one or the other.
Yeah, or you're just in the way. That's the other one. My instinct is always like, oh, shit, all right, let me get out of here.
Or like in a drive-in movie, you can go and like make a big duck on the screen. Oh, wait, did you get to answer my question about like the genesis of where you create your jokes? Was I like rambling over you?
No, it was, I'll say this. Part of it is I grew up with some super funny uncles. I have, on both sides of the family, I had very funny ball busting type uncles. So that kind of got you to be sharp because if you were going to hang out at the adults table, you were going to get ripped on and you had to see if like, all right, well, what can I do to can I land a punch back? And every now and then you'd figure it out. But so that was there to begin with. And then there's just, I always was drawn to comedy anyway, because it takes away anxiety. I got diagnosed with, I'm sure everybody has it at this point. But when I got out of the military, that's when I started actually exploring, like, do I have anxiety disorder? And, they proved it that I do. And that's why a social situation, I would never want to be in a big gathering. Like I sometimes don't want to go to a concert if I don't think it's going to be that great of a time. But for some reason, a large crowd listening to me and me getting to make them all laugh and, in theory, make them all like me. It's really just a desperate wanting to be liked. That's really what comedy is at the end of the day. We're broken people. Scott explained to me. Most actors are too. So I feel bad. You guys are just better looking versions of us.
So I wanted to ask, and the problem with doing a show like this is that you get so well, it's not really a problem. You get so caught up in listening to what the person's saying, and you're enamored with like whoever you're talking with. You forget like what you wanted to say. What's the matter, Joe? You look like you got.
Yeah, I'm gonna make you forget what you want to say.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, pop culture icon Brian O'Halloran. Hello, Brian.
For fuck's sake, one of these nights, can I just watch a show?
Apparently, not if David's involved.
Damn it!
Right? I tried, Brian.
All I wanted to do was, hey, have you done the shows where they're in the parking lots and they're honking at you as the laughter, which has, when this is all said and done, I will never be stressed in bumper to bumper traffic, because in my head, I'm just like, they're laughing at my jokes. I'm not holding up traffic. I mean, that's what those Trump supporters were doing out on the Parkway, telling jokes and stopping traffic and honking.
Hi, Brian.
Did I interrupt the dead president kind of discussion? I'm sorry.
There's never enough good dead president discussion.
Shall we talk more about my wake?
Oh, absolutely. You know what?
Because the time we tell jokes about you, Dave, trust me, the room will be dead.
Zing!
Okay. I will tell you that for a wake, though, Brian, you looked fantastic.
Of course, I was pickled in liquor and formaldehyde.
That's
This is the magenta color behind you.
Yes, it changes. I have a fancy fucking Twitch kind of thing that all the kids are doing. Got to keep up. I got to keep up. I don't have Corona Street, but I have the Reboot movie T-shirt. There we go. KP, brother.
good to see you, my friend. How are you?
Good. Have you finally stalked and killed your guidance counselor for quitting before the COVID?
It's yeah, that would be the guidance counselors on the list. Those goddamn parents of mine, a little too supportive, if you ask me.
Yeah, but think of the money you're saving on the pain pills you don't have to have to take after digging ditches.
Yeah, now any pain pills I do are just purely recreational.
Fun, yeah,
So,
exactly. Now you just sit back and I got to write. Let me pop a couple of pills.
Oh man, no, I got to blame them.
I gotta say though, I have watched a couple of your episodes, and your dad is fucking hilarious. And I know you're the comedian of the two of ye, and he's getting all the fucking attention, and you're like, "What the fuck, man? The show, it's my show, Dad." But he is. He's a good setup man.
He appreciates that too, because we had there's been a couple of wild moments on the show too, where actually I swear to God we did we went to Gas Digital in Manhattan maybe a month or so ago, and we were guests in their studio. And you want to talk about an awkward moment? The ad that the guy had to read in the middle of our episode was for Blue Chew, which is like generic Viagra. And the host goes and stops, and it like the whole theme of the show is, oh, it's a father-son duo and all this other stuff. And he just stops in the middle of the ad and he goes, "You guys ever taken Blue Chew?" And they looked over at my dad, and I just goes, "No, never needed any dick pills." And then then he looks over at me, and I was just like, "Yeah, I know what Blue Chew is. I already have this. We can move on." It's unsettling to know my dad's dick's still getting hard, and mine every now and then.
I see that. I see that as a glass half full, because then you know your future. You're not too bad. At least half the genetics. Otherwise, if you can't get your dick up, blame your mom.
Oof. Here's the worst part. I'm adopted too, man. We have no idea
that's
what I'm doing.
right.
With.
I forgot. I don't
Yeah.
know where you're coming from. Never
I'm
mind. Strike that.
Where you're coming from, a nice choice of words there.
Indeed.
Yes.
No, that's a terrifying
this
thing.
isn't my show. This is your show. So carry on.
Thank you for stopping in, Mr. O'Halloran. If I don't see you, have a thank you. And if I don't see you, have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
I will, and I look forward to you playing Santa Claus, the homeless hobo, in the next coming month.
Absolutely.
You don't have the whiteness, so you're the homeless Santa. You can't be real Santa.
I still have time to dye this white.
Right. Dye it white. Okay.
If the beard's a new addition, it looks solid, man. This is my first time meeting you, so I don't know what you look like without it.
Ooh. As Lurch would say. No, he's much more handsome actually without the beard. If he does the goatee Van Dyke thing, we get confused as brothers. Weirdly enough, he's the more taller, lurchous brother. Yeah. All right. This is what you get when you disrupt me when I'm not supposed to be on a show. Sully. I'm Sully, and I'm not the kind that lands planes in the river either.
He's the big cuddly blue monster kind of Sully.
Yeah, more like Surly.
Totally, yeah.
Brian, what's in the cup?
What's in the cup? It's watered down lemonade.
Uh-huh.
I was drinking Brian Quinn's beer earlier. Robson Horsham out of Staten Island.
Yeah,
where they ferment their beer in the dumps out there. Gives it a real good absinthe taste.
For many of you who don't know this, Mr. O'Halloran, who you know from all the pop culture films that he's a star in, Brian actually is a very funny and very accomplished stand-up comedian. So if you ever get to see Brian out with KP or with any of these great comedians up here in the Northeast, they're very, very funny.
I am at times, if I have time to prepare and can stand in front of a crowd, can make people laugh or at least hack up something that they have to buy more liquor that the club owner enjoys.
A good storyteller too, man.
It is. I can tell a good story and I can make people boo hard enough where they need to buy more drinks, and they meet the 2-drink minimum quite quickly. So, and if I have a 7:00 show and a 9:00 show and I have a part of the gate, everybody's happy.
You're not being fair to yourself. I think you're hysterical.
Oh, thank you, sir.
What the hell I know?
I think the real key is that they both make it look so easy, and that's the sign of real pros and people who are just have a genuine talent for it. Make it look so easy, and the last thing it is easy.
Right.
No.
Scott's being too complimentary.
I enjoy KP's jokes, his setups. The way he lays out a set is always hilarious. And even when you watch his podcast, you can tell the mindset of a comedian by just in normal conversation. They can throw in really funny quips about factual information that it makes it entertaining for the viewer. So I really enjoy what you're doing on that.
God damn it. I love you guys.
I know. Don't you want to be in front of a crowd where they're smoking and drinking right now?
I am going down to Florida soon.
Oh, there you go. Mask up, sir. You better go back to your ditch digging friends and get yourself a hazmat suit and zip up.
There's been
go
thoughts.
Out there as one giant condom.
More than that's how I operated when I lived down there anyway. That was where I got stationed with the Navy. So it's unfortunately I'm aware of the Gator people down there. It's a fascinating culture.
Yeah.
What was your MOS in the service?
I was a hull technician, actually. So I was a firefighter, a welder, and a plumber. And I'll tell you, I did mostly plumbing.
Sweet.
Yep. One toilet at a time, I defended our country from tyranny.
Mr. Schiaffo, tell us a little bit about what's going on in your life?
In my life?
Yes.
Well, I've been keeping super busy through this, which has been great. I feel blessed. All throughout 2020, I actually had a number of films come out, and I got to quarantine, put me into a place where I was able to knock out my audiobook, and that got done, and that got released on CD as well, plus on Audible. Thank you. Yes, there it is. And
proud to say I have a signed copy of that too, by the way, Scott.
Oh, awesome.
That's all right.
What a great guy.
You drive a guy from Atlantic Highlands and he signs a book for you. It's pretty cool.
There you go. So I just feel like, you know, as horrible as it really is in so many ways, I feel blessed that I had some work, had some really great films come out. Wits End, that you and Brian and I are a part of. I got to do the score for that. Darkness Waits, Libby McDermott's film, which that one was another really exciting indie. I got to work with some great people. So I can't complain. I feel very fortunate.
You know what? This is what I wanted this show to be tonight. I wanted this show to be a glimmer of hope in this dark, disgusting world we live in. And then we had to have Brian on to ruin it all with his mean silliness.
All right, then I'll give you something to really love. Me with long hair. Look at that shit. Huh?
Whoa!
Look at that.
And I was your guest tonight on your show tonight, right, Bob?
That's right, Rob Akampora. He was he's worked all over on the East Coast at radio stations, but he has his own podcast, The A Game with Rob Akampora, who also records at the Shared Universe, same area, same studio that KP records at.
Yes, sir. Good old Mike and Ming taking good care of us as always.
Absolutely.
Yes. Now, wait a minute. I'm sorry. Brian, was that long hair or was that like the ultimate mullet?
It might have been in some cases. Some people might think of it as like fancy Tennessee mullet, where it's like you're going to the Country Music Awards mullet. Because there was a time where it was like long hair.
Can we see it again, please?
Sure. So you can't quite tell because I
thought it was Val Kilmer and Bono at first. Sorry.
See? Yeah. And then there's that that's not far. That was like when the VHS release of Clerks came out. Me and Jeff went around to different stations and talking about get it on VHS, which then nobody bought. They just stole from the video stores.
Well, how did you had grown it long for Mallrats, correct?
Correct. I grew it long from Mallrats, and that's at a mullet level, I would say. But once again, that's like kind of slick, kind of. Let me see if I can find like a Mallrats one. Because that's where it's kind of like, it kind of works. Here we go. There's that version.
Oh, look at that.
Gil Hicks, suitor number 3. From Rutgers University.
You kind of have a George Clooney, if George Clooney had a fiery auto wreck look in that right there.
Again, you look like you could be in U2 in those photos, Brian. And that's not just because you're first generation, all right?
No, absolutely. I would love to have been, listen, what's his name wasn't a handsome devil either. The Edge. If you see some of his earlier pictures, even during the height of the Joshua Tree, you'd be like, whoa, thank God he wears a hat and just plays a guitar.
It's well, he had long hair one time too, I think, right? It was like down
they all did. I mean, Mullins, I think it is, Clayton, who when he has he's got like an afro, and there were early band shots of early U2 where his fro was huge because he has that nappy, curly Irish hair.
Just like the lead singer of Thin Lizzy.
The Edge did the Batman theme song.
No, he didn't sing that.
What do you mean?
You're right. He did not sing that. He
played
it.
Yeah. He had a single.
The Batman cartoon. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Oh, cartoon. Right.
If you guys recall, they did a single you two that the Edge sang, and the video was really weird because it was just kind of like a headshot of the Edge, and some chick kept sticking her toes in his mouth or some kind of shit.
Lemon. Right.
Yeah, do you remember that?
Yeah. I know. He's all tied up with ropes.
It's like that. Robert
saying Lemon?
No,
not Lemon. Lemon was sung by. No.
Lemon is U2, but that's definitely Bono.
Yeah. This kind of had a weird, kind of almost like a digital rap kind of.
Well,
sound
on Rattle and Hum, he does Van Diemen's Land.
Correct, which is a great song.
That's Edge singing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, did you guys ever see that Robert Downey video with Elton John?
Yeah.
I Want Love.
Yes.
Is there anything creepier ever put on film than that video?
What are you talking about? That's a great video.
Oh, dude, no. It's a bad look for Iron Man.
It's a bad what?
It's a bad look for Iron Man.
He wasn't Iron Man back then, dude. He was scrambling to get. He was scrambling to get any paid gig after coming out of rehab at that point.
Well, you know, the story there is Elton takes a lot of people under his wing who are freshly in recovery, who are struggling. And Robert had been really struggling at that point, and Elton kind of took him under his wing. And that was one of the first gigs he did on the comeback, was that video. I Want Love.
And Pee Wee Herman's in that video too.
Is he really?
Yeah, he plays like the manager.
Oh, I never knew that.
A treasure trove of
we're all of us together are the fucking Smithsonian of useless fucking knowledge.
This is what goes on when we have a 6-hour car ride to Pittsburgh, KP. We sit there and we just banter of I think Brian actually filmed it one time.
Yeah,
Was
there's
it
a couple
funny?
of hours of that. There's a couple of hours filmed. I never really went through it all. I went through a couple of hours of it, and there's some snippets that you could throw in with this show and be like, here's a flashback to when his pacemaker went off. Here you go. You know.
So KP, do you have any upcoming appearances or things that we can look for out for you in the future?
No.
Wow.
It stinks, man. I wish I had 2 gigs.
Gut there, buddy. Strike 2 on that question.
I thought maybe he could talk about his show.
No, I'd love to on that. That's if I didn't have the podcast, I'd be going nuts right now because that's been where all the focus is. But I got a couple other weird little side projects we're working on. I'm trying to get a few things together here. But again, Jersey, there's nothing essential about stand-up comedy. I found that out in every color of the rainbow here this past summer. But I was lucky because we had outdoor gigs to do, so I was working, I would say maybe a third of as much as I was. And then I'm pretty much off until 2021 right now, so I wish I had dates to promote and plug, but all I'm doing is American Loser podcast, which seems to be whenever somebody listens to one episode, they listen to multiple. So I feel good about hearing that you guys have all checked it out. So that means a lot to me. And also, we're giving some to keep the old man busy, and he needs that. He starts breaking shit around the house just to do repairs the next day.
Now, when you had your dad on the show for the first time, were you guys planning on it being a regular thing, or is it because you guys worked so well together and you guys were so funny together that he just kind of kept popping on?
Well, he's we kind of knew because I was trying to figure out how I was going to do it because I had to write a whole show treatment for it. Like this thing actually got onto the desk of History Channel, and they moved on to the second phase of development or whatever, and then they didn't pull the trigger on any new projects for the shutdown. So originally this was going to be a TV show. So I had to write everything out, and I was passing it by my dad anyway. And then he's like, "Oh, this is actually pretty interesting." And then he'd be feeding me more losers. And then we've always had a good back and forth and rapport to begin with. So I kind of once we went in there and we sat down with the microphones in front of us, it took a second to adjust to that. But otherwise, we've just kept our normal relationship going with that. So I was pretty excited that it worked out as well as it did, because if the guy bombed on the first episode, I'd have to be like, all right, we're gonna have to work this back a little bit. But luckily he is a funny and a handsome guy, and he's full of good info. So once we sat down and it worked, we were just like, all right, we got something here. If nothing else, even if you're not a history fan, the gimmick of a father-son team, occasionally going Orange County choppers on each other is pretty amusing too. So
well, it's either that or Ozzy Osbourne and his son.
That's We'll be in detox together soon. That'll be great.
I have just one final question for you. If you could have shared the stage with one other comedian, alive or dead, in history, open or close, or just share the stage with, who would that be?
It's a great question. And my favorite thing is that it changes all the time, because I'm now at this weird point where I've been, I've either opened for a lot of people I look up to, Brian included, by the way, too. And then one of my best nights at the Stress Factory was opening for when Jay Muse was doing Amusing Stories. I felt like I was playing to a home crowd because, just we all have that same sense of humor. So that was a huge moment for me. If I could tell 8th grade KP that we'd be pretty excited about that. It would make up for how few girls are coming around. But but then I got to Dave Attell's brought me as an opener he's let me host or feature for him a couple of times. He brings you up on stage and riffs with you. That was a dream come true. I got getting to meet and kind of talk to Colin Quinn when I had a Twitter. He followed me on Twitter, which was a good feeling. So that's a childhood hero that I mentioned earlier that you get to be friends with. And that's my favorite thing about the. So if I had to pick one person, and I know actually Brian's got a great story about it, not to try to hijack or the direction of the show, but Brian and I did talk about this guy that the first time I heard George Carlin, I was like, oh shit, that's what stand-up can be? You're allowed to do that? And I was never really, I love Dice Clay, but he wasn't giving you anything to think about, so it was just the immediate pleasure of it. So Carlin was the perfect thing where he could be vulgar, but also get your brain working a little bit. And I saw him at the BPAC when I was in high school, and I think he died like maybe 3 months later. But if there was a situation where I would ever be on the same show with George Carlin, that would kind of be a huge come to Jesus moment for me. So.
Brian, is it a story that you want to share, or is it just kind of like a vague story about George Carlin, just about his genius?
Well, he was always funny, like he said, and it's George is definitely not to poo-poo on his point or on KP's point earlier that he definitely should be on the Mount Rushmore, I believe. And who says Mount Rushmore can only hold 4 heads? Personally, I've been to that. I've actually been to that place, and there's a lot more room. You can turn the corner and have a couple more heads. Just saying. Anyway, so working with Carlin on Dogma, where I played Grant Hicks, the news reporter, and reporting on plenary indulgence, and he was Cardinal Glick in the film, and we're both. It's literally the first or second day of shooting, and we're in Pittsburgh at this Unitarian church. And he's in the makeup trailer and I'm in the makeup trailer, and there's 4 chairs and all down the trailer. He's in the very first one. I'm in like the second one or third one. And he's getting his makeup done and hair. I'm getting mine done. And I knew he was obviously part of the film. And his newest book at the time was Brain Droppings. So I had a copy of that and brought it with me in hopes to get him to sign it. And so I brought it with me. It was in the bag, like I was in this news reporter's kind of like trench coat. So I had the book in my big pocket anyway. And after we were done, he just reached, we were just talking as we're getting our hair done and makeup done. Where you from? And I told him I was born and raised in the Bronx, New York City from 69 to 69 to 79. And he was raised in the Bronx as well. And we got to talking about the Bronx and stuff like that. And nothing that had to do with showbiz at all. It was just two New York guys talking about the old neighborhood and how it was. And I told him, I said, Mr. Carlin, I did bring, your book for me to sign if that's cool. And yeah. And so I did. I gave him the book and he signed it. And then the makeup person, and this is before digital cameras, but they had Polaroid cameras. But the Polaroids this time of the year was these strips. They weren't the big wide Polaroids. And they do that for hair and makeup and costume continuity. So we took a picture of the two of us together with this Polaroid picture, and I have it as the bookmark in the book. And he signed the book from one Bronx kid to another, George Carlin. And it's something that I'll always treasure. And I remember I was on the road at a Comic-Con in Pittsburgh when I got the news when I heard on the radio, because I leave the radio on to a news channel to fall asleep at the time in the hotel room, that George Carlin had passed away. And I immediately texted Kevin on the West Coast, and he told me yes, and he said he was in the middle of writing a big op-ed piece, obituary for Variety about it, and I was so upset that whole weekend. And he's someone who my father enjoyed watching, my mother enjoyed watching. As a matter of fact, I had relatives over the house last year or the year before, and I have a whole collection of all the Carlin shows on DVD, and we put in played a couple of the Carlin shows, and they were just laughing again as if, and the material is still legit. That's the thing about it, is his shit is always fresh. It'll never have a date on it.
Timeless.
If he does mention a reference to, you always like his take on it because it was usually against the grain anyway. So that's a cool time capsule to go back and hear old Carlin when he was like, oh, he was advocating for this at this time frame. That was kind of weird. But I never looked at the prison system the same after hearing him break it down. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, and his skit about the differences between baseball and football are probably the funniest skit in the history of humor. With that being said, KP, I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. You
damn pleasure, guys.
A really, really great comedian. You're a funny guy. You're a great guy. Anybody who gets a chance to watch his podcast or his show, you'll love it. He's hysterical. Him and his dad, the show is just really funny. And if you get a chance to see him in stand up, he tours all over the place. Make sure you go out and check him out because he's really a genuinely funny guy. KP, thanks again, and happy Thanksgiving and happy holidays.
Thank you guys so much, man. Likewise, and I hope to hear. Hopefully, we'll all hang out soon. We'll see what happens.
That'd be great. Hey,
Take
ladies
care,
and gentlemen,
guys.
Mr. KP Burke.
Wow. So nobody mentioned Gallagher.
Gallagher.
That's
Gallagher,
brilliant.
I find Gallagher and Carrot Top in the same vein. I think Carrot Top is a derivative of Gallagher. And
You know who I was a big fan of who kind of fell off the face of the earth? You guys remember Stephen Wright?
Yeah.
he's got I heard he's got the biggest collection of shells in the world scattered amongst the beaches of the world.
Really? I didn't know that. I don't know what that means, but it's funny.
He had a dog named Spot. He spilled some cleaner on it, hasn't seen him since.
Oh, you're doing his routine. I'm not
Yes.
the quickest on the uptake. I apologize.
And yet
Which
you
you
were a
should-
fan.
Which
of
you should
Stephen
probably
Wright.
know.
He's,
I was a fan.
Reservoir Dogs radio show, right?
Mhm.
Stephen Wright's voice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Mr. O'Halloran, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for coming on. I apologize for pulling you away from your beautiful girl and coming on.
Oh
my
no,
show.
not at all. I've now learned to just lurk and not comment because then my comments know that I'm watching. So I'll just watch. I'll just lurk.
Okay. And give your mom and everybody a hug from us and have a happy Thanksgiving, my friend.
No touching. No touching.
You
No
can't
touching
hug
people.
Thank you, Brian.
Be well, brother.
Oh, he's
Oh, Mr. Schiaffo, another show in the books. We survived another show.
We did indeed.
I want to thank you again, Mr. Schiaffo, for being a dear friend and bringing so much wonderful stuff to the show. And we had a great phone conversation, and me and Scott are going to start working on another huge project. So we're
Sweet.
excited about that. And Mr. Schiaffo, if I don't speak to you before Thursday, we're not having a show next Friday, right, Joe? Or Black
we
Friday?
are not. No.
Okay. So we're not having everybody who's watching. We're not going to be on next Friday. I think we're going to return the Friday after. I'll check with these guys. And Mr. Schiaffo, if I don't see you between now and Thursday, have a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving. Give Carrie a hug and a kiss from the Madison family. Enjoy your turkey. Have a big fat belly and take a nap when you're done.
And right back at you, sir. I love you guys. Thank you so much. Schiaffo out.
Love you, brother.
Schiaffo, stick around.
So there you go. We survived, Joe.
I can't get comfortable with this new mic. It's just I don't know where to
You do fidget with
position
it a lot. I had to move
just
my
can't-
mic to the other side now. It's like
Well,
weirdly in
I
the
want to be
corner.
like cool like O'Halloran, and I can't. Nah.
Joe,
Yeah, okay.
we can never be as cool as O'Halloran.
Okay, granted.
It would be impossible. I've got my note here, so I remember what the hell to say.
All
But
right.
before I say that, I just want to be a whore for a minute. Everybody, please check out Brian Scott and I's video for Jingle Bells and our Christmas EP. We put a lot of love and effort into that EP, and it's just to make you smile and go out and enjoy the holiday seasons. Brian's in great voice. I know he's hard on himself, and but I think he's fantastic. So check it out. Check out Wits End, which is available on Tubi and on Amazon right now, and make sure that you join us. George will be back week after next with a wonderful episode of Romero Pictures Indie Brigade at 9 o'clock. And 11 o'clock, I don't know, some kind of this mess will come on, and we'll see what other celebrity I browbeat into coming onto my show. And, then they don't talk to me for the rest of my life because they're like, Dave, really? You made me go on that. So with that being said, everybody have a very, very happy and safe Thanksgiving. Spend it with the people you love responsibly. And the most important thing is, remember, no man is a failure who has friends. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I could stay here for like the next 6 months.
Yeah, I hit the button and.